Chapter 176. This is indeed a problem. It would be best if we could separate them and defeat them. Wan Ziang had already heard about Lu Yunfei's methods from Bai Songling. He was also very afraid of Blood Bell and Blood Sharp Sword. I have a way to lure Lu Yunfei away. Yi Jioga said. What way? Bai Songling turned his head to look at her and said, we only have a few people. If we need a lot of people to lure Lu Yunfei away, we won't be able to catch that evil cultivator. Don't worry, we don't need our people to lure her away. Yi Jioga took out a tightly bound purple scorpion from the bag he carried with him. It was also wrapped in thick yellow mud into a ball. Wan Ziang carefully looked at the scorpion and asked, this is the scorpion that lured you to the pile of rocks? Yes. Yi Jioga nodded. Damn, then what are we waiting for? Quickly blow this guy up. Bai Songling screamed. If it wasn't for this stupid thing, Yi Jioga wouldn't have been hit by the black pot. The huge purple scorpion heard Bai Songling's words and squeaked in fear. I didn't expect this big scorpion to have some intelligence. Bai Songling looked at the big scorpion in surprise. Ever since he raised the big mouth goo, he became more interested in spirit beasts and demonic beasts. Idiot, you can't even recognize the mutated beast treasure-seeking scorpion. Juni Chen said expressionlessly. What? Bai Songling couldn't care less about quarreling with Juni Chen. He stared at Yi Jioga and asked, this is a mutated beast? Treasure-seeking scorpion, it sounded very awesome. That's right, this is Lu Yunfei's treasure. As long as we use this thing as bait, Lu Yunfei will definitely fall for it. Yi Jioga shook the treasure-seeking scorpion in his hand. She already had the fat black mouse, so she didn't care about this treasure-seeking scorpion. Such a good treasure, it's better to keep it for myself. Bai Songling coveted it. Wan Ziang glared at him and asked Yi Jioga, what do you plan to do? I believe that Li Zijuan will be very interested in this treasure-seeking scorpion. Yi Jioga handed the treasure-seeking scorpion to Wan Ziang and said, as for how to do it, Big Brother Wan should know better than me. The yellow mud on the scorpion's body is mixed with an aura-concealing medicinal liquid. If you want to lure Lu Yunfei over, you just have to break the mud. I understand. Wan Ziang took the treasure-seeking scorpion. Although Dongfang Yao was the most powerful person in the city, the second most powerful person wasn't Dongfang Jianming. It was Dongfang Yao's prime disciple, Li Zijuan. Li Zijuan was a very cautious person. With Alchemy City in such a chaotic state and Dongfang Yao standing aside, he didn't dare to act recklessly. Everything he did was for the sake of safety, so he focused all of his efforts on stabilizing the city. Although they wouldn't make any mistakes this way, it wouldn't be of much use in capturing evil cultivators. However, Li Zijuan hated heretic cultivators very much. If he knew that this treasure-seeking scorpion belonged to a heretic cultivator, he would definitely be willing to help Lu Yunfei. After all, a mutated beast like the treasure-seeking scorpion was also a treasure to a spirit alchemist. Whether it was used to find special spirit herbs or to kill it for alchemy, it would be great. Yi Jioga stood up and said, all right, I'll leave the matter of capturing the disguised heretic cultivator to you guys. I'll go and refine some pills. Wan Ziang, Bai Songling, Luo Tian, and Juni Chen weren't mediocre people. With Yangsan's trap and the treasure that lured Lu Yunfei away, it was more than enough to plan an encirclement. There was no need for her to participate. It was more practical for her to refine more tranquil heart pills and spirit beast pills. Go. Bai Songling and Juni Chen spoke in unison. They glanced at each other and snorted at the same time before looking away. They both wanted to use spirit beast pills to raise goo, but Yi Jioga couldn't refine a lot this time. If they wanted to get more spirit beast pills from Yi Jioga, they had to perform well. The two immediately ignited their battle spirits and swore to take down the disguised heretic cultivator. Yi Jioga went into seclusion for 2 days and 2 nights and refined a total of 38 bottles of tranquil heart pills and 16 bottles of tranquil heart pills. As for the emotionless fire pill, spirit recovery pill, and chi replenishing pill, she also refined some of them. When she opened the door and walked out, her legs were soft and her body looked like it had been hollowed out. "Eldest miss, are you all right?" Luo Tian looked at the bruises under Yi Jioga's eyes. It was as if she had been punched twice. Even her snow-white skin couldn't hide her exhaustion. He sighed in his heart. He didn't expect that Yi Jioga, who looked so fairy-like and delicate, would be quite terrifying when she fought with all her might. If he followed such a talented and hard-working person, he wouldn't be any worse off in the future. "I'm fine. How's Oh Yongsan?" Yi Jioga felt that 2 days was enough for Oh Yongsan to think. If he still didn't agree, then he shouldn't blame her for using violence. Oh Yongsan already sent a message yesterday. He agreed to cooperate with us to lure the heretic cultivator. Luo Tian said. "Then what do you plan to do? Is the plan ready?" Yi Jioga had been busy refining pills for the past few days and didn't have time to participate in their discussion. "It's all ready. We plan to let Oh Yongsan leave the city and pretend to escape. Then, we'll set up an ambush outside the city. Wan Xiang has also prepared everything. We're just waiting for you," Luo Tian said. Although Yi Jioga wasn't present when the plan was made, she was the most important spiritual leader of this small group. Without her, Bai Songling and Juni Chen would be able to turn the sky upside down. "What about Yi Yu?" "He's with Oh Yongsan." "Did he meet Lu Yunfei?" Yi Jioga asked again. "No. Recently, the city has been very strict. All the patrolling spiritualists are equipped with evil energy testing tools. She doesn't dare to act rashly." Luo Tian shook his head. "Give this bottle of pills to Oh Yongsan. We'll move tomorrow." Yi Jioga took out a bottle of clear heart pills. Although Oh Yongsan didn't lack pills as a spirit alchemist, they wouldn't be as powerful as the ones she refined. "Eldest miss, how many bottles of spirit beast pills have you refined?" Luo Tian embarrassedly asked. "Not many." Yi Jioga didn't want Juni Chen and Bai Songling to know about her stock. She didn't want them to chase after her like a debt collector. "Oh." Luo Tian couldn't hide the disappointment on her face. His lil red was about to advance. If it could eat some spirit beast pills, it would be less painful. "I'll give 1 bottle to each of you." Yi Jioga took out 4 bottles and gave them to Luo Tian. "Help me distribute them to them. Don't forget to record it down. 1 bottle costs 100 silver coins." Yi Jioga wasn't a nouveau riche. During this time, she had spent a lot of money on alchemy. She couldn't act like she used to. 100 silver coins per bottle was already the cost price. After all, she used the best ingredients. If she sold them to others, she would definitely double the price. Chapter 177. I'll definitely deliver the pills to them. "Young miss, you've worked hard. Have a good rest," Luo Tian said excitedly. "I'm going to sleep. Don't disturb me unless the sky falls down." Yi Jioga's legs were weak and her body was weak. She floated back to her room and fell asleep as soon as her head touched the bed. It was already noon the next day when she woke up. She was so hungry that she had to get up to look for food. Fortunately, Luo Tian was a careful person. He had been cooking congee in the kitchen and immediately brought it up when she woke up. He didn't forget to add 2 spicy and sour side dishes. Yi Jioga didn't care about being reserved and gulped down 2 bowls of congee. Only then did she have the strength to speak. "Where are the others?" Bai Songling and the young master have left the city to make arrangements. Yi Yu is still with Oh Yongsan. They'll leave the city tonight when the gates are about to close. Luo Tian put away the bowls and chopsticks. Bai Songling originally wanted to stay with Yi Jioga, but after Juni Chen's provocation, she left with him. The two had already agreed to compete to see who would fall into the trap first. "Then let's go now." Yi Jioga stood up. Setting up a trap was an important task. She couldn't leave it to Junie Chen and Bai Songling, these two unreliable enemies. After Yi Jioga and Luo Tian left the city, Luo Tian released Lil Red. The once big-bellied Lil Red had changed into a new appearance. His two small eyes were full of vigor. They were no longer long, but round and fat. He looked very rich, like a chafer. The two cicada wings on its back had become very strong. Dragging two more scorpions wouldn't be a problem anymore. Go find the young master. Luo Tian ordered Lil Red. It immediately flapped its wings and flew forward. Yi Jioga and Luo Tian quickly followed behind Little Red. The two ran for almost 4 hours before arriving in front of a hidden cave. The cave was overgrown with weeds and a short crooked tree. It was hard to notice if one didn't look carefully. Yi Jioga and Luo Tian didn't go in immediately. Instead, they let Lil Red check the situation so that it wouldn't ruin Bai Songling and Junie Chen's arrangements. Not long after Lil Red flew in, the big mouth flew out together with it. After eating the bottle of spirit beast pills given by Bai Songling, the parasite insect, which originally only had a big mouth, also underwent some changes. The most obvious change was that its mouth had become smaller. It had a delicate head, a pure white body, and a pair of faintly glowing wings. It looked quite elegant, but no one knew what special use it would have. The two goo worms circled around in front of Luo Tian and landed on his shoulders. "Eldest miss, you can go in now," Luo Tian said to Yi Jioga. Yi Jioga followed Luo Tian into the cave. The entrance was a long and narrow path. After turning a corner, it was a completely different world. The cavern was very spacious, and there were a few openings on the walls. He had no idea where they led to. After Big Mouth flew to one of the caves, Bai Songling popped her head out and greeted Yi Jioga, "Miss, you're here." Junie Chen also emerged from another hole and looked at Yi Jioga with a reserved expression. "How's your setup?" Yi Jioga looked left and right but didn't see any clues. "Almost done. I guarantee that the bloodthirsty sex evil cultivators won't be able to return," Bai Songling said proudly. "With me around, I guarantee that the bloodthirsty sex evil cultivators won't be able to survive," Junie Chen rushed to say. "So confident?" Yi Jioga opened his spiritual eye and searched around carefully. He immediately felt a little numb. He saw that the bottom of the ordinary gray wall was actually filled with black dots. Needless to say, it must be Junie Chen's masterpiece. After this guy recovered his strength, not only could he control goo, he could also summon poisonous insects and snakes. Other than these densely packed poisonous insects and snakes, Bai Songling also set up many traps. If the evil cultivators really chased them here, they would definitely see ghosts immediately. "Eldest miss, it's clean here. Come up and guard with me." Bai Songling waved to Yi Jioga. "No need, I'll wait outside to ambush." As a reserved lady, Yi Jioga really didn't want these long creatures to stay in the same space. "All right then." Bai Songling was a little disappointed that no one appreciated her magnificent feat. Junie Chen didn't have any objections. After all, with Luo Tian accompanying her outside, it was no different from him accompanying her alone. Yi Jioga and Luo Tian left the cave. After restoring the weeds and trees in front of them, they each found a place to squat down. Night fell quickly. The gloomy night sky and the mountain wind whistled, bringing with it a damp and cold atmosphere. Yi Jioga squatted down on a big banyan tree branch and looked into the distance. Yi Yu followed Bai Songling to scout this cave, so there shouldn't be any mistakes. However, as long as they didn't come, her heart couldn't be at ease. Not long after, a group of figures appeared at the pitch-black foot of the mountain. They were running up the mountain quickly. Yi Jioga immediately became alert. She knew that the show was coming. This time, Yangsen had made a detailed plan to sneak away. He secretly used his refined high-grade pills and a large sum of money to hire 4 intermediate spiritualists to escort him away. These spiritualists were outsiders and had stayed in Alchemy City for a long time. Under the temptation of Yangsen's money, they agreed without hesitation. Yi Yu changed his appearance and disguised himself as a wind spiritualist called Feng Qingyang. He was also among the group that escorted Yangsen. Seeing that they were not far from the cave, he pretended to be tired and asked, "Alchemist Yangsen, it's getting late. Why don't we find a place to rest?" A spiritualist called Xia Chenfeng said in a deep voice, "We're still very close to Alchemy City. Maybe we're still in the hunting range of evil cultivators. For safety's sake, let's hurry for a while." The other two spiritualists agreed with Xia Chenfeng's opinion. Although they were very tired, they didn't dare to rest when they thought about evil cultivators. Evil cultivators are scary, but the forest at night is also very dangerous. We've been running for a few hours and are very tired. If we encounter a powerful beast, I'm afraid we won't be able to handle it," Yi Yu said reasonably. After hearing his words, the spiritualists were a little shaken and looked at their employer, Yangsen. Yangsen pretended to hesitate for a moment before he said to Yi Yu, "Feng Qingyang, you're a wind spiritualist, so you're the fastest. Why don't you scout ahead and see if there's a suitable place to rest?" "Yes." Yi Yu nodded and ran up the mountain like the wind. Once he was out of the sight of Yangsen and the other spiritualists, he quickly ran to the vicinity of the cave. "Yi Yu, over here." Yi Jioga waved at Yi Yu from under the banyan tree. Yi Yu took a few steps and arrived next to Yi Jioga. "Are Bai Songling and the others ready?" "I'll bring Yangsen over in a moment." "Are they ready? Did the disguised evil cultivator follow us?" Yi Jioga asked. "I'm not sure, but Yangsen hired 3 spiritualists to escort him. I suspect that one of them is a disguised evil cultivator," Yi Yu said in a deep voice. Chapter 178. Who are the spiritualists that Yangsen invited? Do you have a target in mind? Yi Jioga asked. If they could confirm the identity of the disguised evil cultivator, they would have more confidence in taking action. Yangsen invited 3 spiritualists. One is called Hu Lin, an intermediate water spiritualist. He talks a lot and is a fence-sitter. One is called Zhang Xingjia, an intermediate wood spiritualist. He looks simple and honest and doesn't talk much. The last one is called Xia Chenfeng, an advanced earth spiritualist. He always wanted to change routes. I think he sensed something. I suspect that Xia Chenfeng is the culprit, but I don't have any solid evidence yet. Yi Yu had been following Yangsen for a while and had investigated these spiritualists. Although there was no problem with the identity of these spiritualists, his intuition told him that the disguised evil cultivator was among them. "We'll know after we capture them," Yi Jioga said. As long as she had time to observe carefully, she was confident that she could find the culprit. "Okay, I'll lure them over now." Yi Yu jumped down the tree and quickly returned to Yangsen's side. "How is it? Did you find the place?" Yangsen pretended to be tired. In fact, he was very tired. Spirit alchemists were very respected in Kanglan continent. Both the righteous and evil paths would treat them with respect. He was usually obsessed with alchemy and rarely went out. During this period of time, he was scared. After rushing for such a long time, he was exhausted. "I found a hidden cave ahead. It's very suitable for lodging," Yi Yu said calmly. Yangsen didn't wait for the other spiritualists to speak and directly said, "Then let's go take a look." Yi Yu brought Yangsen and the others to the cave. Just as they were about to enter, Xia Chenfeng stopped and doubtfully said, "Brother Feng, have you checked this cave?" "I just went in and took a look. I didn't find anything unusual." Yi Yu shook his head and said, "Even if there is a demonic beast inside, can't we 5 spiritualists take it down?" Brother Feng is right. If we can't even take down a demonic beast, we can forget about passing through the forest. Yangsen showed a very dissatisfied look. He had spent so much money to hire someone to escort him, but in the end, the guard was afraid of death and was overcautious. No matter which employer it was, they would not be satisfied. I just think it's better to be careful. Since Brother Feng is so sure, then just pretend I didn't say anything, Xie Chen Feng said with a straight face. Let's go in. Yi Yu lit a torch and walked into the cave first. Ouyang Sen and the others also walked in. Xia Chen Feng carefully searched the cave once. Seeing that the inside was empty, but there were many holes above, he immediately said with some dissatisfaction, Brother Feng, do you know where these holes lead to? It's just a few empty holes. If Brother Xia is afraid, you can just seal them up. Yi Yu swept a clean spot on the ground and called Ouyang-sen over to sit. Ouyang-sen sat down next to Yi Yu, then raised his head and said to Xia Chen Feng, aren't you an Earth-type spiritualist? Sealing a few holes shouldn't be a difficult task for you, right? Hu Lin and Jiang Xingjie also sat down, looking like they didn't want to leave. Xia Chen Feng had no choice but to use his Earth-type spirit energy to build 3 yellow walls to seal the holes. After finishing, he was a bit tired, but he didn't want to sit with the others. He found a quiet corner and took out his dry food and water bottle to eat. Alchemist Ouyang, come, have some water. Hu Lin attentively handed over his water bottle. No need, I have my own. Ouyang-sen took off the water bottle on his waist and politely refused Hu Lin. Before he came here, Yi Yu had already warned him that there might be a disguised evil cultivator among the 3 guards, so he must not get too close to them, let alone eat anything they gave him. Hu Lin didn't feel embarrassed after being refused and continued to smile. He continued to talk to Ouyang-sen, Alchemist Ouyang, have you thought about where to go after leaving Alchemy City? I've been out for so long, I really want to go home. Ouyang-sen said with a normal expression. He only asked Hu Lin and the others to escort him to the capital and he would walk the rest of the way. Sigh, Alchemist Ouyang is quite unlucky. You traveled thousands of miles to participate in the competition, only to encounter something like this. If it weren't for the evil cultivators, it wouldn't have been difficult for you to win the competition. Hu Lin flattered. Sigh, it's good enough that I'm still alive. I don't dare to think about the competition. Ouyang-sen bitterly smiled. Hu Lin patted his thin chest and said, Alchemist Ouyang, don't be afraid. With us here, we will definitely protect you. Hu Lin was small and didn't have much offensive power, so he had always been doing poorly. It was rare for him to have a second-rank alchemist by his side. He really wanted to hug Ouyang-sen's thigh and call him father. Xie Chen Feng held the water bottle and sneered. He didn't hide his disdain for Hu Lin at all. The one with the surname Xia, I've tolerated you for a long time. Alchemist Ouyang invited you here to be his bodyguard, not to be his boss. Who are you acting weird all day? Brother Feng found such a good place, yet you're still so picky. What's the meaning of this? Hu Lin shouted at Xia Chen Feng in dissatisfaction. Surnamed Feng doesn't even say anything. What are you pretending to be? Xia Chen Feng put down the water bottle and sneered. You. Hu Lin was so angry that he was trembling. However, Xia Chen Feng was a small realm higher than him, so he was no match for him. Hu Lin looked at Yi Yu, wanting to find help. However, he saw that Yi Yu was resting with his eyes closed, as if he didn't want to cause trouble. Coward. Hu Lin scolded in his heart and went to win over Jiang Xingjie. Brother Jiang, don't always look like a taciturn gourd. Otherwise, you won't even know when people come knocking. Hearing this, Jiang Xingjie just laughed and continued to collect firewood. Soon, he set up a bonfire rack. It was humid deep in the mountains at night, and it got colder as the night went on. Not only could a bonfire drive away the cold, it could also drive away wild beasts. Therefore, the others were happy to see him start a fire. Seeing that 1 or 2 people ignored him, Hu Lin felt that there was no point in it, so he obediently shut up. Although Yi Yu was resting with his eyes closed, his ears were eavesdropping on the movements around him. Originally, he had some doubts about Xia Chen Feng. However, with Hu Lin trying to sow discord, he couldn't make up his mind. At this time, Jiang Xingjie's bonfire was already built. He took out a flint from his bag and knocked out a string of sparks, successfully igniting the bonfire. The moment the warm bonfire was lit, a strange pungent smell and smoke filled the air. Yi Yu suddenly opened his eyes, but found that his body was weak and he couldn't move. Chapter 179. Yi Yu's body was numb, and his head was dizzy. He felt a sharp pain in his arm. Black Tyrant, who was hiding under his sleeve, bit through his skin and began to take the poison. The others weren't so lucky. Hu Lin's eyes rolled back and he fell to the ground. Xia Chenfeng was furious, but he also couldn't resist. Yangsen was a bit better and still had the strength to point at Jiang Xingjie, who was squatting by the fire, and scolded, "Who are you? Why are you plotting against us?" "Ha, who do you think I am?" Jiang Xingjie's honest face twisted under the light of the fire. "You are a heretic, and I have no grudge against you. Why are you following me?" Yangsen shouted in horror. "You can only blame yourself for coming to Alchemy City. In your next life, reincarnate as an ordinary person." Jiang Xingjie grinned. A green wooden saber appeared in his hand and slashed at Yangsen. Yi Yu's spirit force recovered. He pulled Yangsen to the side and dodged Jiang Xingjie's attack. Jiang Xingjie's saber missed and looked at Yi Yu in surprise. "Brat, you can still move after being hit by my muscle-weakening powder. Do you have some treasure on you?" With that said, the blue spirit force around his body surged. His cultivation actually went from mid-rank to high rank. Then, the wooden saber in his hand turned into a spear and stabbed at Yi Yu with a sharp light. Although Black Tyrant had cured most of the poison in Yi Yu's body, he still couldn't move freely. Not to mention, he was carrying Yangsen. Seeing that Jiang Xingjie's saber was about to cut his head, he quickly shouted, "What are you waiting for?" Just as Yi Yu finished speaking, countless black wasps suddenly burst out from the wall and buzzed toward Jiang Xingjie. Jiang Xingjie's expression changed. The green light on his body immediately turned into a vine armor to block the wasp's attack. He swung his saber and attacked even more fiercely. More than half of the wasps were immediately cut down. At this time, Bai Songling's proud voice came from behind the wall, "Little mute, I told you that your little bugs are useless. Watch me." Just as he finished speaking, countless gray-green vines emerged from the ground under Jiang Xingjie's feet and tightly wrapped around his calf. Humph. Junichen didn't dare to show any weakness. He controlled the venomous snake to spray venom on Jiang Xingjie's body. Very quickly, a large hole was formed in his rattan armor. Yi Yu had also caught his breath. He sneaked into Jiang Xingjie's shadow and wanted to use his puppet killer to take him down. Jiang Xingjie was greatly alarmed by the repeated attacks. He knew that he had fallen into a trap and immediately lost the will to fight. He formed a seal with both hands, and the rattan armor on his body immediately burst out with a putrid black gas that filled the entire cave. The venomous snakes and bees all fell to the ground in the black gas. Bai Songling immediately held her breath and stepped back. At the same time, she took out the antidote pill. Yi Yu did not take out the medicine. Instead, he rushed forward to save the unconscious Yangsen and Hu Lin. Seeing this, Bai Songling cursed inwardly and turned to save Xia Chenfeng, who was closest to him. If they were poisoned, they would have the help of the poisonous earth dragon Gu. If these three people were poisoned, they would die immediately. At this time, Bai Songling's big mouth Gu flapped its wings and flew out. Her small mouth suddenly widened several times, and in one breath, she inhaled the poisonous smoke into her stomach. Seeing this, Jiang Xingjie was even more alarmed. He sped up and flew towards the cave entrance. He passed through the narrow passage, and was about to escape. Suddenly, a purple lightning snake lashed out from the cave entrance. The lightning snake's aura was wild and fierce. It was the power of a high-grade spirit weapon. Jiang Xingjie had nowhere to hide in the narrow passage. He could only gather all the spirit energy and evil energy in his arm to take this attack. Boom! The purple lightning snake landed on Jiang Xingjia's arm, and several green and black evil energy splattered out. Jiang Xingjie felt like he was hit by a running bull demon. His arm was in so much pain that it felt like it was about to break. His internal organs were also seriously injured. He opened his mouth and vomited blood. His body could not help but fly back into the cave. Yi Yu and Bai Songling had already saved O Yangsen and the other two and placed them in the empty passage. They immediately freed up their hands to deal with Jiang Xingjie. Under the attacks of the few people, Jiang Xingjie was finally beaten to the ground. Stinking brat, I want to see just how amazing your disguise is. Bai Songling roughly reached out to pull Jiang Xingjie's face in an attempt to find any traces of his disguise. Unfortunately, even after pulling Jiang Xingjie's face until it turned red, he could not find any flaws. 3 heroes, please let me go. I shouldn't have been possessed and tried to steal Pill Master Ouyang's pills and silver. Jiang Xingjie cried and begged for mercy. Is that so? I thought you wanted to skin him, pull out his bones, and dig out his spirit root to show respect to your ancestor? Yi Jioga sneered and walked in front of Jiang Xingjie. I don't know what you're talking about. I just wanted to knock you out and steal some things. Jiang Xingjie returned to his previous honest appearance. Alright, stop pretending. We all know that you were sent by the bloodthirsty sect and that you're the best at disguising yourself. How many people did you bring, who were your accomplices, and why did the bloodthirsty sect's ancestor send you all to Alchemy City? If you tell us the truth, I'll give you a quick death. Bai Songling viciously said. I really don't know any bloodthirsty sect's ancestor. I'm just an ordinary wood spiritualist. I don't know any heretical cultivators. Jiang Xingjie cried like a coward. If it wasn't for the evil energy he released to save his life, they would have truly thought that they caught the wrong person. Stinking brat, you're still so stubborn even in the face of death. If you say you're not a heretical cultivator, then what was that black energy you released just now? Was it your dog fart? Bai Songling cursed. Brother Bai, there's no need to waste your breath on him. Cripple his arms and legs first, then slowly interrogate him. Luo Tian looked at Jiang Xingjie as if he was looking at a dead man. Their blood-cloak tribe was exterminated by the bloodthirsty sect's ancestor, so he hated the bloodthirsty sect to the bone. Without another word, he lifted his foot and broke Jiang Xingjie's arms and legs. Jiang Xingjie lay on the ground with his arms and legs twisted unnaturally. Even though he was sweating from the pain, he would never admit that he was a heretical cultivator. Yi Yu frowned deeply. He originally thought that he would be able to clear Yi Jioga's name after catching him, but he didn't expect to run into such a stubborn person. Why don't we hand him over to Li Zijuan? They have an artifact that can detect evil energy, so they might have a way to deal with him. Bai Songling had no other choice. It's useless. Jiang Xingjie has always been staying in an inn not far from the alchemy tower. The training soldiers have also checked there several times, but they didn't find out that he's a heretical cultivator. Yi Yu didn't find anything strange about Jiang Xingjie along the way, so he didn't believe that Li Zijuan could find anything. Chapter 180. Even if we can't detect evil energy, with Ouyang Sen and the others' testimony, we can prove that he is a heretic cultivator, Bai Songling said, unconvinced. If he insists that he was possessed and wanted to rob us, Li Zijuan will at most lock him up. We won't be able to achieve our goal. Yi Yu shook his head. Their goal was to clear their young miss suspicions. If they can't prove that this guy is a murderous heretic cultivator, then it's useless. This won't work, that won't work, then what should we do? Bai Songling said dejectedly. Yi Yu couldn't help but look at Yi Jioga. Yi Jioga didn't say anything. She had already opened her spiritual eye, secretly observing Jiang Xingjie's body. On the surface, Jiang Xingjie looked like a normal spirit practitioner, without any evil energy on him. But she had just discovered something strange. Jiang Xingjie's back had a palm-sized brown wound. It looked like an old wound. But the strange thing was, every time his spirit energy moved to that wound, it would speed up. Yi Jioga suddenly had an idea. She looked up and said to Yi Yu and the others, "Turn him over and press him down." Yi Yu was startled, but quickly regained her senses, flipping Jiang Xingjie over and pressing his upper body down. Bai Songling and Luo Tian pressed his lower body down. Jiang Xingjie seemed to have realized something, shouting with all his might, "I am a spirit practitioner, you can't torture me, otherwise I'll go to the Spirit Practitioner Alliance and sue you for mistreating prisoners." "TCH, you want to kill me, you dare to sue me for mistreating prisoners, what's wrong with me torturing you?" Bai Songling sneered. Yi Jioga ignored Jiang Xingjie's noise. She took out her Thunderfire needle, injecting spirit energy into it and pierced the wound on Jiang Xingjie's waist. Before the needle even touched Jiang Xingjie, the black gas on his body rose again, his crippled hands and feet were instantly healed. He struggled with all his might, instantly throwing Yi Yu and Bai Songling away. Seeing this, Luo Tian immediately hugged Jiang Xingjie's thigh. The Blood Cloak Miao tribe, besides refining Gu, also trained their bodies. Luo Tian's body training technique was one of the best in the tribe. Using all her strength to suppress Jiang Xingjie, he didn't manage to break free. Yi Yu and Bai Songling immediately turned over and pressed Jiang Xingjie down again. Jiang Xingjie struggled like a trapped beast, countless black gas burst out from his body and was absorbed by Bai Songling's big mouth Gu. Bai Songling used her spiritual power to create a green vine net to trap Jiang Xingjie, but it was useless. In the end, Yi Jioga used his lightning ability and chopped at Jiang Xingjie's neck. Jiang Xingjie's entire body twitched, his hair charred black, and he finally fainted. F***ck, I didn't expect this guy to pretend to be a pig to eat a tiger. Bai Songling wiped his sweat. He had thought that Jiang Xingjie had been beaten to a pulp. He hadn't expected Jiang Xingjie to counterattack so fiercely. If not for Luo Tian holding him down, he might have really escaped. Why did this guy suddenly go crazy? Did young mistress notice something? Yi Yu raised his head and looked at Yi Jioga. Yi Jioga squatted beside Jiang Xingjie and tore open the clothes on his back. He pointed at the old scar that was the size of a palm and said, "There's something inside. If I'm not wrong, there should be a high-grade magic artifact that can restrain evil energy inside. There's something inside." Bai Songling pressed hard on the scar on Jiang Xingjie's back and found that there was indeed something inside. It was about the size of a fist and was hard. Even if he has a magic artifact that can conceal evil energy, it's impossible to disguise it so perfectly. Yi Yu couldn't understand this point. Although he was also an expert in disguise, even if he wore a human skin mask, there would still be traces. But Jiang Xingjie didn't have any traces at all. I remember that water and wood dual attribute spiritualists can practice a technique called flesh regrowth technique. He should have used the flesh regrowth technique to fuse his skin with the victim's human skin mask. Look, other than the scar on his back, the color of his skin is very well proportioned. This is not normal. Yi Jioga heroically tore Jiang Xingjie's clothes apart. Yi Yu, Bai Songling and the others were speechless. But Luo Tian didn't care. Their Miao tribe girls were much more valiant than Yi Jioga. Taking off a man's clothes was really nothing. He carefully observed Jiang Xingjie's exposed naked skin and found that it was well proportioned as if it had been dyed. Although spiritualists weren't afraid of heat or cold, the exposed skin outside the clothes was always a little different from other parts of the body. Especially the huge difference between men's skin, it was really strange. I've heard of the flesh regrowth technique before, but this technique can only regenerate the skin. It's usually used by women to maintain their skin. I didn't expect this guy to be able to combine it with the disguise technique. Bai Songling admired Jiang Xingjie's creativity. No matter what, we've finally caught this evil cultivator in disguise. Once we send him to Li Zijuan, we'll be able to clear the suspicion of eldest Mississippi. Yi Yu heaved a sigh of relief. Finally, his efforts were not in vain. That's right. Bai Songling said while reaching out to touch Jiang Xingjie's skin. What are you touching? Junichen, who had been silent all this while, narrowed his eyes and looked at Bai Songling's claws that were reaching for Jiang Xingjie's lower body in confusion. I'm looking for the position where he fused with the human skin. No matter how magical this flesh regrowth technique is, it can't be made out of nothing. Bai Songling said confidently. As a wood spirit practitioner, he was also very curious about this kind of technique. Yi Jiuge watched Bai Songling examine Jiang Xingjie with great interest. He even suggested very kindly, why don't you take off his pants and have a look? I think the place where he used the flesh regrowth technique should be the place that no one wants to see. Bai Songling's face suddenly froze. It was a great shame for him to touch a man's crotch. Haven't you been a coroner before? Just pretend that you're doing an autopsy. Yi Jiuge persuaded with a smile. Bai Songling's face twitched. He gritted his teeth and said, okay, I'll pretend that I'm doing an autopsy, but you're not allowed to see it. Eldest miss, you're also tired. Do you want to take a rest? Yi Yu asked implicitly. Yi Jiuge was like a fairy in his heart. He shouldn't let such a wretched scene stain his eyes. Okay. Yi Jiuge turned around with regret. He thought to himself, these guys are really conservative. Back when I was practicing medicine, the chickens I touched were better than the ones you've seen. Bai Songling made up his mind and took off Jiang Xingjie's pants. He found that the fusion point of the flesh regrowth technique was indeed the man's indescribable place. No wonder we couldn't find it. This guy is really good at choosing the place. Bai Songling said in disdain. He took out a small storage bag from Jiang Xingjie's crotch. It was the size of a palm and dark red in color. It didn't look eye-catching at all, but it was undoubtedly a storage bag that couldn't be bought with 10,000 gold. Chapter 181. Ancestor Bloodthirsty is really generous. He even gave them a storage bag, Luo Tian said with jealousy and hatred. That's right. Even when the Bloodcloak Miao tribe was at its peak, they didn't have such a thing. It wasn't that they didn't have the money to buy it, but they didn't have the connections. It was said that they could only get it in Great Soul City. Lu Yunfei also has a storage bag, Yi Yu added. He had followed Lu Yunfei for a long time and had seen her use it several times. Seems like this bloodthirsty patriarch isn't simple. Yi Jiuge's face was heavy. To be able to give his subordinates storage bags, besides being rich, bloodthirsty patriarch should have some connections. Who cares if he's simple or not, as long as he's on the Spiritualist Alliance's wanted list, he will die. Bai Songling said as he violently erased Jiang Xingjie's mark in the Qiankuan bag and poured out the things inside. Human skin. Piles and piles of human skin. The human skin gave off a faint smell of blood, and the empty eyes on their faces told of their pain before they died. Bloodthirsty sect really deserves to die. Bai Songling couldn't help but kick Jiang Xingjie again. Alright, 2 kicks are enough. If you kick him to death, we'll have wasted our efforts. Yi Yu quickly stopped Bai Songling. Yeah, with these things, we can bring Jiang Xingjie to justice and clear Mrs. Suspicion. Luo Tian nodded. Bai Songling's face looked better. He held the storage bag and said to Yi Jiuge, Miss, although this storage bag isn't big, it can be used. Keep it for yourselves. I don't need it. Yi Jiuge shook her head decisively. She felt disgusted at the thought that this thing was taken out from Jiang Xingjie's crotch. Lu Yunfei has another one. Yi Yu also felt that it wasn't appropriate for Yi Jiuge to use this thing. It was better to take Lu Yunfei's. Alright, then leave it with me first. We'll discuss how to deal with this storage bag later. Bai Songling put the storage bag away. Get Yangsen and the others down first. Yi Jiuge said. They were important witnesses. He was still a criminal, so it wasn't appropriate for him to show his face. Only Yangsen and the others could clear his name. Yi Yu brought Yangsen, Xia Chenfeng, and Hu Lin down. 3 antidote pills woke them up. Don't kill me, don't kill me. Hu Lin screamed as soon as he opened his eyes. Brother Hu, calm down. We've already caught that heretic cultivator. Yi Yu hurriedly held him back. What evil cultivator? Are you saying that Jiang Xingjie is an evil cultivator? Hu Lin was confused. He had fainted earlier, so he didn't see Jiang Xingjie's true form. Yeah. Just as Yi Yu finished speaking, O Yangsen and Xia Chenfeng woke up as well. Has the heretic been caught? O Yangsen asked Yi Yu excitedly. Yes. Yi Yu nodded. What the hell is going on? Xia Chenfeng frowned. He kept having the feeling that this fellow surnamed Feng and Ouyang Sen seemed to be hiding something from him. Brother Xia, is this how you treat your savior? Although Xia Chenfeng's suspicions had been cleared, Yi Yu still did not have a good impression of him. Humph, my savior. Xia Chenfeng's eyes swept over by Songling and the others as he sneered, I think they're playing us like monkeys. Obviously, he had already seen that Yi Yu was using Ouyang Sen to lure the heretic cultivator. Heretic cultivators are treacherous and everyone has the right to punish them. Brother Xia, you don't have to be so calculative. When we send this heretic cultivator to Medicine Master Dongfang, we will not forget your contribution. Yi Jioga tried to smooth things over. You really want to give us a contribution? Hu Lin was originally prepared to make a scene after hearing Xia Chenfeng's words, but when he heard this, he immediately changed his expression. Of course. If it weren't for your help, how could we have possibly caught this vicious criminal? Yi Jioga said in an awe-inspiring manner as if he was serious. Her most important goal was to clear her name, so there was no harm in giving the credit to Xia Chenfeng and the others. Anyway, there were still Lu Yunfei and Su Junqing, the two big heads. Catching them would be the biggest contribution. Humph. Xia Chenfeng snorted coldly and finally stopped making a scene. This guy killed my senior sister. I want him to have a taste of living hell. O Yangsen stared fiercely at the unconscious Jiang Xingjie and pounced on him, wanting to vent his anger by beating him up. Brother O Yangsen, calm down. Yi Yu hurriedly stopped him. O Yangsen's fist had already landed on Jiang Xingjie's body. However, the moment he punched him, he noticed that something was wrong. The cold touch was like that of a dead person's. O Yangsen stretched out his hand to feel Jiang Xingjie's breath and immediately cried out, how did he die? What? Bai Songling hurriedly pushed O Yangsen away and crouched down to feel Jiang Xingjie's pulse. He really was dead. It wasn't me. I only punched him once. I didn't use any strength at all. O Yangsen hurriedly shook his head. He committed suicide. Yi Jioga glanced at him and saw that Jiang Xingjie had died by severing his own meridians. What a miscalculation, thinking that everything would be fine after he fainted. He didn't think that he could commit suicide. This was troublesome. Even if he's dead, he's still an evil cultivator. Dragging him to Alchemy City will still be useful. Bai Songling stood up with a dark expression and said, let's not waste any more time. Let's hurry back. It was already late at night. If they rushed back at night, they would arrive at Alchemy City at daybreak. Let's go now. Hu Lin's fighting spirit was high. It would be a waste not to take such a free merit. Xia Chenfeng and O Yangsen also felt that staying here was fraught with trouble, so they nodded in agreement. Yi Jioga's group then carried Jiang Xingjie's body towards Alchemy City. Along the way, Juni Chen used his poisonous snakes and bees to open a path. No demonic beasts came to disturb them, so the group smoothly arrived at Alchemy City. At this time, the sky was already bright. Alchemy City had already opened its gates to check the people entering and leaving. The guards saw Yi Jioga's group covered in dust and carrying a black bag, so they immediately became vigilant. Stop, what's inside? One of the guards raised his spear and pointed it at Bai Songling, who was standing at the front. This is the corpse of an evil cultivator. Bai Songling proudly said. What? The guards thought they heard wrong. We are the guards of a second-rank alchemist, O Yangsen. Alchemist O Yangsen was attacked by an evil cultivator outside the city. We did our best to resist and finally killed the evil cultivator. Bai Songling's voice wasn't loud, but it caused an uproar among the guards. The captain of the guards came out and carefully looked at Bai Songling and O Yangsen's group. He cautiously said, Alchemist O Yangsen, this matter regarding evil cultivators is not something ordinary. I can't make this decision alone. Please wait for a moment, I'll go ask my superior. With that, the captain had the other guards protect O Yangsen's group while he hurriedly ran towards the alchemy tower. Xiao Bai, you're making such a big deal, what if something goes wrong? Yi Yu whispered in disapproval. You know how famous the young miss is right now. If we don't make a big deal out of it, how can we clear her name? Bai Songling was very thoughtful. Chapter 182. All right. Yi Yu immediately stopped talking when he heard that it was for the sake of his mistress. Not long after the captain of the gatekeepers left, he quickly came over with a group of people. The leader was wearing a purple gold crown and a purple robe with a 5-clawed golden dragon embroidered on it. He was arrogant. Who else could it be other than Dongfang Jianming? Why is this guy here? Bai Songling thought to himself. He had discussed it with Wan Xiang when he left the city last night. If they caught the disguised evil cultivator, they would put on a show at the city gate and Wan Xiang would come to their rescue. He didn't expect the crown prince to come instead of Wan Xiang. What was even more unexpected was that Su Junqing also came. Although they were all disguised, it would be troublesome if Su Junqing saw through them. Bai Songling couldn't help but shrink behind O Yangsen when he thought of this. Did you catch the evil cultivator? The crown prince looked at O Yangsen and the others. Before O Yangsen could speak, Hu Lin had already stepped forward and said loudly, yes, it was us. When he was at the city gate just now, he wanted to take the black cloth bag containing Jiang Xingjie's body to show his heroic nature. Unfortunately, no one agreed. O Yangsen and Xia Chenfeng weren't on his side, so he could only give up. This time, he finally found a chance to be in the limelight. Who are you? The crown prince glanced at the short Hu Lin, who didn't even reach his chest. He didn't believe that this weak guy could catch the evil cultivator. I'm Alchemist Ouyang's guard, Hu Lin. Hu Lin said loudly. Alchemist Ouyang, didn't I tell you to wait for news in the medicine refinement building and not to go out at will? Why did you sneak out of the city? The crown prince asked unkindly. I'm not a criminal. I can leave the city whenever I want. It has nothing to do with your highness. O Yangsen replied with an unkind expression. He was also a highly respected prince in his own country, so he didn't put the crown prince in his eyes. The crown prince was about to fly into a rage, but he was stopped by Su Junqing. Su Junqing's eyes glanced at the black cloth bag that Bai Songling and the others were carrying. His expression was calm, but his heart was in turmoil. Last night, old Jiang told him to kill O Yangsen and the others outside and asked Lu Yunfei to cooperate. Unexpectedly, not long after old Jiang left, Lu Yunfei suddenly seemed to be possessed and wanted to go to a place to deal with private matters. At that time, he already felt that something was wrong. He didn't expect that something would really happen. Old Jiang was dead, and Lu Yunfei had yet to return. Things were not looking good. He had to think of a way to get rid of this group of people. Yi Jilga stood at the end of the line, secretly sizing up Su Junqing's expression. Seeing the bewilderment and even madness in his eyes, Yi Jilga was a little worried that this guy would do something. Sure enough, Su Junqing suddenly asked O Yangsen, is the evil cultivator you killed Yi Jilga? Yi Jilga was crowned with a dead name. He really wanted to go up and slap Su Junqing twice. When Luo Tian, Yi Yu, Bai Songling, and Juni Chen heard Su Junqing's words, they were enraged as well. Killing intent surged from their bodies, and it looked like they were about to turn hostile. Yi Jilga immediately reached out to stop Luo Tian and Yi Yu, then raised his voice and replied to Su Junqing, it's not Yi Jioga, it's a male evil cultivator, and he's very good at disguising himself. After that, he pressed Bai Songling down and signaled with his eyes that the overall situation was more important. Su Junqing glanced at Yi Jioga and the others with suspicion. Yi Jioga's current appearance was that of an ordinary youth, so he immediately pretended to be timid and avoided Su Junqing's gaze. Yi Yu coldly poked O Yangsen. O Yangsen immediately understood his meaning, so he took a step forward and said, "Your Highness, I'm sorry, but I'm in a hurry to find Grandmaster Dongfang with the evil cultivator's corpse." "Excuse me. Wait." Su Junqing stopped O Yangsen, then said to the Crown Prince in a righteous manner, "Your Highness, Alchemy City has offered a reward of 1,000 gold taels for capturing evil cultivators. These days, there are many people who, in order to earn the reward, kill ordinary people. This subordinate feels that it's better for you to check." "You're right." The Crown Prince nodded, then said to O Yangsen, "Bring that evil cultivator's corpse over, this prince wants to check it personally." "Your Royal Highness, we risked our lives to kill this evil cultivator. I'm afraid it's inappropriate for you to take the corpse away with just a few words." Bai Songling had no choice but to lower his voice and pretend to be angry. "That's right." Hu Lin quickly stood beside Ouyang Sen, raised his head and said, "Our alchemist Ouyang is a rank 2 alchemist, how could he be greedy for this bounty? He could not bear to see the evil cultivators harming people, so he brought us to capture the evil cultivators. Your Highness the Crown Prince has gone too far. Brother Hu is right." Bai Songling really wanted to give Hu Lin a thumbs up. Before, he looked down on Hu Lin's ingratiating and unreasonable personality, but he didn't think that it would be a sharp weapon against the Crown Prince. The Crown Prince's face was gloomy. If it was before, he would not offend a rank 2 pill master in public. But ever since Su Junqing used the evil cultivator to help him kill Yi Jioga, he had been tied to Su Junqing. For his own great cause, he must protect these evil cultivators. Thinking of this, the Crown Prince immediately raised his voice to O Yangsen, "Pill Master O misunderstood, I have no intention of targeting you. It's just that this evil cultivator is a matter of great importance, we have to act cautiously. If this is really the evil cultivator's corpse, then what's wrong with taking it out to check? That's right, this damned evil cultivator caused chaos in our alchemy city. I also want to see if he really has 3 heads and 6 arms. That's right, evil cultivators have been causing chaos for so long, but this is the first time someone killed them. We should take a good look." "Yes, open it and let us see." The onlookers were very curious. They all asked O Yangsen to open the bag. Yi Jioga frowned. If Jiang Xingjie's corpse was full of evil qi, it would be fine to open it for the Crown Prince to see. But because she was worried that taking the aura-concealing magic tool out of Jiang Xingjie's body would damage it, she never dug it out. Now that Jiang Xingjie's body was an ordinary spirit practitioner, there was no way to prove that he was an evil cultivator, so naturally, she couldn't take it out for everyone to see. "What, you don't dare to take it out, is there something fishy?" Seeing the situation, the Crown Prince immediately said aggressively, "Your Highness, your words are really funny, why would I play tricks with evil cultivators?" O Yangsen said angrily. "Who knows what you're planning?" The Crown Prince sneered. O Yangsen kept arguing with the Crown Prince to stall for time, while Bai Songling anxiously looked at the distant street. Strange, why hasn't Wan Ziang come yet? Did something happen? Yi Jioga also felt strange. Could it be that he set up a trap for Lu Yunfei last night and was injured by her instead? While everyone was in a deadlock, another group of people came from the direction of the alchemy tower. Yi Jioga thought that it was Wan Ziang, so he looked up and his heart immediately sank. How could it be him? Chapter 183. This group of people was actually Yi Yuxuan. He was wearing an azure alchemist's robe. Behind him were Yi Shanshan and the guards who escorted Yi Jioga to Alchemy City. When the Crown Prince saw Yi Yuxuan, his eyes immediately lit up and he hurriedly greeted, "Grandmaster Yi, you're here too." Yi Yuxuan came to the crown prince's side and looked at Ouyang Sen, then said, "Pill Master Ouyang, I heard you killed a heretic outside the city?" "Yes." Ouyang Sen nodded, his attitude extremely respectful. As a pill refiner, he could look down on the crown prince, but he couldn't look down on the level 5 pill refiner, Yi Yuxuan. "I wonder if Pill Master Ouyang can let me deal with this heretic's corpse. You know, my daughter, Yi Jioga, was bewitched by a heretic and killed innocent people. She practiced heretic arts and committed a grave mistake. I've been looking for her, this heretic's corpse might give me some clues." Yi Yuxuan said righteously, like a master. However, he had said that in front of so many people, which made Yi Jioga the scapegoat of the head of the evil cultivators. Ouyang Sen didn't say anything. Yi Yu and the others, on the other hand, were furious. Yi Jioga almost exploded on the spot. If she just wanted to slap Su Junqing, then she wanted to stab Yi Yuxuan now. This scum of a father is really scum. "Grandmaster Yi, you can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. You keep saying that your daughter Yi Jioga practices heretic arts, but do you have any proof?" Yi Jioga suppressed her anger and questioned. "Humph, it's the first time in my life that I've seen someone hurrying to put the blame on his own daughter. Do you really see Yi Jioga as your daughter?" Bai Songling's words were even sharper. Grandmaster Yi frowned, but he didn't fly into a rage like he usually did. In order to maintain his image as a master, he said calmly, "It's because Yi Jioga is my daughter that I can't let her make mistakes again and again. Actually, when she came back from the abyss a while ago, I already noticed something was wrong with her. It's just that I cared about my family and refused to investigate. I didn't expect her to be so deranged, taking advantage of the alchemy competition to harm other spirit pill masters. It's really intolerable." As Yi Yuxuan finished speaking, he felt both pain and regret. His excited expression made it seem as if he was about to faint at any time. That's right. Father couldn't sleep for big sister. He ignored the danger of the heretical cultivators and rushed to Alchemy City in the middle of the night. He wanted to find big sister and persuade her to turn herself in and give the people of the world an explanation. Yi Shanshan supported Yi Yuxuan with a sorrowful expression on her delicate face. The father-daughter duo teamed up to put on a show, causing the surrounding commoners to curse Yi Jioga for being deranged and worse than pigs and dogs. Yi Jioga slowly clenched his fist. "Endure, I will definitely endure." When the truth was revealed, Yi Yuxuan would naturally regret what he had done today. Yi Yuxuan didn't know that his eldest daughter, Yi Jioga, was standing right in front of him. Taking advantage of the crowd's excitement, he once again spoke to Ouyang Sen, "Pill Master Ouyang, we all understand your painstaking efforts. Please understand my feelings and let me handle this heretical cultivator's corpse." "That's right, Pill Master Ouyang. Father and I both want to find big sister as soon as possible to prevent her from doing more wrong." Yi Shanshan also chimed in. "That's right." Ouyang Sen suddenly felt a bit awkward. He had cooperated with Yi Yu and the others. In fact, he had already guessed that they were chasing after the heretical cultivator to clear Yi Jioga's name. However, Yi Jioga's biological father came here and announced that he wanted to clean up the sect. "Pill Master Ouyang, don't worry. I just want to borrow this heretical cultivator's corpse to take a look. I definitely won't steal your credit." Yi Yuxuan finished speaking and gave Guard Pan a look. Guard Pan nodded in understanding and brought the other guards forward to snatch Jiang Xingjia's corpse from Bai Songling's hands. Bai Songling, Junichen, Luo Tian, Yi Yu, and the others all gathered together as if they were facing a great enemy. It wasn't easy for them to obtain Jiang Xingjia's corpse. They absolutely couldn't give it to anyone else. Just as Guard Pan was about to make his move, a clear and pleasant voice suddenly rang out. "Wait!" Guard Pan was startled. He felt that the voice was somewhat familiar. However, when he looked over, he realized that the person who spoke was an ordinary-looking, skinny young man. Young master." Bai Songling shouted anxiously. Now was not the time to reveal his true identity. Yi Jioge took a step forward and stood in front of Yi Yuxuan and Yi Shanshan. He said fiercely, "This pair of blind father and daughter are distorting the truth in front of me. If I continue to endure it, I won't be human anymore." Your big sister? Yi Shanshan finally recognized Yi Jioge's voice. That's right. Yi Jioge wiped his face with his hand, revealing his beautiful and moving face. The crowd was in an uproar. They didn't expect that the leader of the heretical cultivators, Yi Jioge, would dare to appear in front of them. What was even more unexpected was that this vicious demoness turned out to be a delicate, beautiful, and lovely young girl. "Evil girl, you still dare to appear here?" Yi Yuxuan raised his hand, pointed at Yi Jioge and scolded. "Why can't I appear here?" Yi Jioge sneered and said, "In order to clear my name, I spent a lot of effort to kill a heretical cultivator. I didn't expect that my good father would indiscriminately announce in Shangjing that he and I are no longer father and daughter. Now, you've come all the way here to kill me. I really want to know what benefits the heretical cultivators gave you to push me out to be their scapegoat. What nonsense are you talking about? You're clearly the one who colluded with the heretical cultivators. How dare you splash dirty water on them?" Yi Yuxuan was furious. "If I colluded with the heretical cultivators, why would I kill them?" Yi Jioge asked sharply. Who knows if you're up to some tricks again." Yi Yuxuan's face was very ugly. Yi Jioge's chest violently heaved up and down. She felt a breath stuck in her chest. She forcefully closed her eyes. After suppressing the pressure, she said to Yi Yuxuan in a hoarse voice, "Father, this is the last time I'll call you that. I know you don't like it, but I didn't know you hate me so much. Such a big thing happened, and you didn't even give me a chance to explain. You just decided that I'm a murderer who committed a heinous crime, and even helped outsiders harm me. Do you really want to force me to death?" Yi Jioge's tears followed her hoarse voice and quietly flowed down her pure white cheeks. Her words were sharp, like a hedgehog with all the spikes on her body, without the slightest bit of weakness. Because of this, her tears seemed so real, so sad, and heartbreaking. Chapter 184. The eyes of the surrounding people, including the ants, young women, and girls, couldn't help but turn red. They couldn't help but think, if it was them, what would it feel like to be accused by their own father in the street, determined that they were a heinous murderer, and wanted to kill them together with outsiders. Many of the more delicate ones even shed tears and looked at Yi Jioge with sympathy. Sigh, how could there be such a cruel father in this world? Yeah, this Yi Jioge looks like he's only a teenager. How could he be the head of the evil cultivators? That's right, if he really is the head of the evil cultivators, how could he dare to appear in front of us like this? Of course, there were also different voices. You can't know a person's face, even if he's young. He can't be the head of the evil cultivators. Even if Yi Jioge is really the head of the evil cultivators, as a father, isn't it even more heinous? That's right, it's the father's fault for not teaching his son. The daughter will come to this point, and the father will not be any better. No matter what, we can't let the child die without even a chance to explain. What if it's really a misunderstanding? Everyone began to discuss. Regardless of whether they agreed that Yi Jioge was the head of the evil cultivators or not, they all agreed that Yi Jioge was wrong, and as a father, he was even more wrong. Yi Yuxuan listened to the discussion in his ears, and his face turned green and white. He originally thought that he would be praised by everyone for putting righteousness before his family, but he didn't expect that someone would put the crime of not teaching his father's fault on his head. However, he couldn't refute it. It was really suffocating. Seeing that the people were discussing, the crown prince was worried that there would be changes if the matter dragged on, so he quickly shouted, "Come, take Yi Jioge, the head of the evil cultivators, and put him in prison." The soldiers behind him immediately surrounded him and were about to take him. Hu Lin had already secretly hidden himself after Yi Jioge revealed his identity. Xie Chenfeng also didn't want to get involved in such a quagmire, so he pulled Yangsen to the side. Su Junqing took the opportunity to quietly sneak to Bai Songling's side. Suddenly, he stretched out his hand to grab the black cloth bag. Bai Songling had long been on guard against a sneak attack. Countless green vines suddenly rose from his body and tightly bound the black cloth bag. Luo Tian, who was standing beside him, threw a punch at Su Junqing and started fighting with him. Yi Yu couldn't sneak into the shadows, so he teamed up with Juni Chen to guard Yi Jioga and deal with the Crown Prince's bodyguards. Yi Yuxuan was determined to clean up the mess, so he jumped onto the battlefield and personally attacked Yi Jioga. His cultivation was close to the Spirit Master level, 2 realms higher than Yi Jioga. The wood and fire spiritual energies fused together, revealing a greenish-red color. Once it was unleashed, it emitted surging hot air. Yi Jioga didn't think that his scumbag father would be merciful to him. He immediately pulled out the Thunder Snake Illusion Whip from his waist and lashed it at Yi Yuxuan. The purple lightning snake collided with the green and red flames, but the purple lightning snake lost. Yi Yuxuan gained the upper hand, but he didn't feel any joy. Instead, he was incomparably shocked. He had never imagined that this useless daughter of his would be so powerful. He was actually able to block his full power attack. Yi Yuxuan's eyes fell on the Thunder Snake Illusion Whip in Yi Jioga's hand. He was certain that this high-rank spiritual weapon was supporting him. Greed rose in his heart and he didn't hold back anymore. At this time, Bai Songling and the others were also fighting with Su Junqing's group. The scene was extremely chaotic. Many commoners who were standing nearby were caught in the crossfire and suffered light injuries. Bai Songling retreated to Yi Jioga's side and said, "Miss, we can't go on like this. We should quickly retreat. Let's go." Yi Jioga also didn't want to fight with Yi Yuxuan. If he killed him, he would be charged with patricide. Even if he cleared his name as the head of the evil cultivators, his reputation wouldn't be good in the future. Just when Yi Jioga and the others were about to abandon Jiang Xingjia's corpse and take the opportunity to retreat, a pressure enveloped them, followed by a loud roar. "Who allowed you to fight in Alchemy City?" After saying that, a skinny figure descended. It was the city lord of Alchemy City, a 6th-rank alchemist, Dongfang Yao. Dongfang Yao grabbed Yi Yuxuan, who was in the middle of attacking Yi Jioga, and threw him away. Seeing that the situation wasn't good, Su Junqing quickly retreated to the Crown Prince's side. "Royal uncle, you finally came." The Crown Prince quickly said, "Yi Jioga trespassed into Alchemy City. We were just about to arrest her, hurry up and take her down." Dongfang Yao turned around and coldly stared at the Crown Prince. "Who gave you the right to arrest someone?" The Crown Prince was startled and immediately felt a bit embarrassed, but he still braced himself and said, "Yi Jioga is the head of the evil cultivators. Everyone has the right to punish him, so why should I arrest her?" "Who told you that Yi Jioga is the head of the evil cultivators?" Dongfang Yao glared at him and asked. "Isn't this something that everyone knows?" The Crown Prince spoke as if it was a matter of fact. "Everyone knows? Then why don't I know?" Dongfang Yao's expression sank and he spoke with dissatisfaction. "I don't remember Alchemy City posting a wanted poster for Yi Jioga." "Royal uncle, you've always been in seclusion, so it's normal that you don't know." The Crown Prince began to feel that something was wrong. "Are you implying that I'm muddle-headed?" Dongfang Yao's expression was very unfriendly. "This nephew doesn't dare." The Crown Prince quickly shook his head. He knew that his uncle was biased towards Yi Jioga, but he didn't think it would be to this extent. Just as he was about to take out the evidence, he heard Dongfang Yao impatiently say, "If you don't dare, then shut up." "Royal uncle." The Crown Prince angrily shouted. He really didn't understand. He was the one with the surname Dongfang, so why did his uncle favor Yi Jioga and not put him in his eyes? Dongfang Yao was too lazy to pay attention to his short-sighted, unscrupulous, and evil nephew. He looked at Yi Jioga and said, "I heard you guys killed a heretic cultivator." "That's right, this heretic is an expert in disguise. He peeled off a lot of human skins and used the flesh regrowing technique to fuse them together, then tricked the spirit practitioners participating in the alchemy competition. With that, Yi Jioge waved his hand towards Bai Songling. Bai Songling opened a black bag and poured out Jiang Xingjie's corpse and the skins. The surrounding crowd was in an uproar. Although the rumor of heretic cultivators liking to kill people and skin them had spread like wildfire in Alchemy City, this was the first time the commoners had seen it with their own eyes. With so many skins, everyone was trembling with fear. The crown prince felt his hands and feet go cold. He couldn't help but look at Su Junqing. Su Junqing was quite calm. After all, Jiang Xingjie was already a dead man, so there was no way he would sell him out. He took out a gray disc and placed it on top of Jiang Xingjie's corpse to carefully examine it. This was a magic tool developed by Alchemy City to detect heretic aura, but it didn't react at all. Ecstatic, he quickly told the crown prince, "Your Highness, this person doesn't have the slightest bit of heretic aura. He's not a heretic at all." Chapter 185. The crown prince hurriedly looked at the gray disc. Seeing that there was no reaction, he immediately became spirited. He glared at Yi Jioge and scolded arrogantly, "Yi Jioge, you mixed an ordinary person's corpse with a pile of human skin to pretend to be an evil cultivator. What do you mean by that?" Yi Jioge couldn't be bothered to explain to the crown prince and only said, "He's a heretic cultivator." "Bullshit, do you think I'm blind?" The evil testing disc didn't react at all. After the crown prince scolded Yi Jioge, he turned to Dongfang Yao and said, "Imperial uncle, you've been tricked by Yi Jioge. She's a liar." Dongfang Yao frowned slightly. After muttering to himself for a moment, he took out a bottle of white liquid and said to the crown prince, "This is the evil testing water I made. If this person's body really has evil aura, the water will turn gray." After saying that, he poured some onto Jiang Xingjie's body. The white and transparent potion turned into an extremely light gray color. Dongfang Yao's heart sank. If this person was really a heretical cultivator, then the potion would turn black. The darker the color, the higher the cultivation. "Master Dongfang, this person's corpse has been living with so many human skins, so it's normal for it to be tainted with some evil energy. This kind of change doesn't prove that he's an evil cultivator." No matter what, Yi Yuxuan was a level 5 alchemist, and he had concocted the evil testing water before. "Big sister, even if you want to clear your name, you can't use an innocent person to pretend to be a heretic." Yi Shanshan looked at Yi Jioge with a pained expression. "You evil girl, you refuse to mend your ways even after repeated admonitions. Today, I'm going to get rid of you." Yi Yuxuan's hand once again lit up with a green and red flame, as if he was going to kill Yi Jioge at any time. "Wait." Dongfang Yao raised his hand and said sternly, "There's something strange about this evil cultivator's corpse. Apothecary Dongfang, I respect you as a master, but why are you helping Yi Jioge so many times?" Yi Yuxuan narrowed his eyes and looked at Dongfang Yao suspiciously, as if he suspected that they had some sort of shameful secret. After all, Yi Jioge's face was very beautiful. Dongfang Yao was originally a straightforward person, so he almost exploded from Yi Yuxuan's gaze. He and Yunwei were of the same generation, but Yi Jioge still had to call her grandpa. He suspected that the two of them had an ambiguous relationship, which was simply pointing at his nose and scolding him for not being a respectable old man. Yi Jioge, on the other hand, was indifferent as he coldly said, "I thought that Grandmaster Yi, as a 5th-level alchemist, would be able to see through the mysteries of this corpse, but I didn't expect you to be completely ignorant. I don't know where you got the title of Grandmaster from, you are simply fishing for fame." "Yi Jioge, do you know who you're talking to?" Yi Yuxuan scolded fiercely. "Of course I know. I'm talking to an ungrateful, heartless scum." Yi Jioge's words were like knives stabbing into Yi Yuxuan's heart. As soon as these words came out of her mouth, the crowd burst into an uproar. Although Azure Billow Continent didn't pay particular attention to filial piety, it was unheard of for a daughter to insult her father in public. Yi Yuxuan was so angry that his entire body trembled. He really regretted strangling Yi Jioga to death in her swaddling clothes so that she wouldn't be so infuriating when she grew up. Well said. Dongfang Yao clapped his hands and praised. This Yi Yuxuan relied on your father and mother to make a fortune in the past, but now he wants to exterminate you. This kind of father is worse than a beast, you don't need him. Dongfang Yao had been operating in Alchemy City for so many years and was highly respected. He approved of Yi Jioga's actions. The surrounding commoners immediately changed their tone from condemning Yi Jioga for being unfilial to praising her for fighting against evil. Yi Jioga's expression was indifferent. She didn't show any reaction to these discussions. Instead, she turned to Dongfang Yao and said, Grandmaster Dongfang, this evil cultivator has an artifact that can restrain evil energy inside his body, so your medicine is useless. After she finished speaking, she raised her chin towards Bai Songling. Bai Songling understood and turned Jiang Xingjie over. She took out a sharp knife and cut open the skin on Jiang Xingjie's back, digging out a palm-sized red artifact that was engraved with countless talismans. As soon as the artifact was dug out, Jiang Xingjie's slightly black skin immediately turned white and green. The gray disc in Su Juanqing's hand crazily spun. The medicine that Dongfang Yao poured on Jiang Xingjie's corpse also turned black and gray. He really is an evil cultivator. The surrounding commoners were shocked by this turn of events and began to discuss among themselves. Let me take a look at this artifact. Dongfang Yao said to Bai Songling. Wait a moment. Bai Songling tore off the hem of his robe and wiped the blood off the artifact. Hu Lin, who was hiding to the side earlier, came over again. He eagerly took out a water ball and flatteringly said to Bai Songling, Do you want to wash it again? Wash it. Bai Songling had long known that Hu Lin was a coward, so she didn't care about his desertion just now. After washing the artifact clean, Hu Lin casually accepted it and respectfully presented it to Dongfang Yao. Dongfang Yao carefully examined it and infused his spirit energy into it. His expression became a bit heavy. This was a third-rank artifact with a special function that could only be created by a fifth-rank blacksmith. Only the crafting school had fifth-rank blacksmiths. Could it be that the crafting school was in cahoots with the evil cultivators? If that was the case, then it was really troublesome. Dongfang Yao's mind was filled with countless thoughts, but his face didn't show any abnormal expression. After putting away the artifact, he said to Yi Jioga, The truth has come to light. Your injustice has finally been cleared. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you, Grandmaster Dongfang, for believing in my innocence. Yi Jioga solemnly expressed her thanks. She was truly grateful to Dongfang Yao. If Dongfang Yao also believed that she was the head of the evil cultivators like the others, she wouldn't have been able to clear her name so easily. Even if I don't believe you, I still have to believe old man Yun. How could his only granddaughter become a head of evil cultivators? Is being a head of evil cultivators more profitable than being a spirit pill master? Dongfang Yao laughed. When the others heard this, they couldn't help but laugh out loud as well, all of them discussing, That's right, our Thunder Country respects spirit masters, followed by alchemists. A spirit alchemist who can cultivate both to the extreme will definitely have a bright future in Thunder Country. Only a fool would want to become the leader of the evil cultivators. Yi Yuxuan, seeing that your daughter's injustice has been cleared, why do you look so disappointed? Dongfang Yao changed the topic to Yi Yuxuan, who was standing to the side. Grandmaster Dongfang really likes to joke. Jioga is my daughter. How could I be disappointed that she has been cleared of injustice? I can't even be happy for her. Yi Yuxuan forced out a smile. He now deeply regretted listening to Yi Shanshan's instigation and coming to Alchemy City to put justice before family, causing him to lose so much face. Chapter 186. Big sister, congratulations on recovering your innocence. I'm really happy for you. Seeing that the situation was bad, Yi Shanshan immediately stepped forward and wanted to pull Yi Jioga's hand. However, Yi Jioga avoided her hand and said expressionlessly, That's not what you said earlier. Big sister, are you still blaming me? Yi Shanshan had a wronged expression and said tearfully, I was worried about you, so I mistakenly believed the rumors. It's all my fault. Big sister, if you want to blame me, then beat me up to vent your anger. I won't dare to have any complaints. Jioga, your sister is just worried that you'll go astray. Yi Yuxuan said with the dignity of a father, although you've cleared your name this time, if you hadn't acted rashly, you wouldn't have fallen into the evil cultivator's trap so easily. You should take this as a warning and be careful in the future. Grandmaster Yi is right. I will remember your teachings. Yi Jioga looked straight into Yi Yuxuan's eyes and said word by word. Hearing the words Grandmaster Yi, Yi Yuxuan immediately frowned. Although he hated Yi Jioga, if Yi Jioga still went against him in such a situation, it would be a great loss of face for him. Thus, Yi Yuxuan put on a stern face and said, Father misunderstood you this time. It's Father's fault. Do you still want to argue with me? Big sister, we're family. Broken bones connect tendons. Father is doing this for your own good. He's worried that you'll go astray, so he hurried over. Actually, he's always been thinking about you. Yi Shanshan's eyes were slightly red and she felt wronged. There's no need to say any more. Grandmaster Ye's words always carry weight. Since you've already posted the Tianxia board and cut off your relationship as father and daughter, there's no need to force yourself to repair it. From now on, we'll go our separate ways. Whether I, Yi Jioga, live or die, has nothing to do with you. Yi Jioga's cold voice wasn't loud, but it clearly reached everyone's ears. The surrounding crowd was silent and looked at Yi Yuxuan with a gloating expression. You deserve it. Who told you to confuse right and wrong, to be heartless and to hurt your daughter's heart? Yi Yuxuan's face was ashen. He had never felt so humiliated in his life. He really wanted to slap Yi Jioga and drag her back to teach her a lesson. Unfortunately, he could only think about it. Yi Jioga didn't care about what Yi Yuxuan was thinking. He turned around and said to Dongfang Yao, Master Dongfang, I still have some matters regarding evil cultivators that I want to discuss with you. How about we go to the medicine refining tower? Sure. Dongfang Yao nodded, then glanced disdainfully at Yi Yuxuan, whose face was as black as the bottom of a pot, then left with Yi Jioga and the others. O Yangsen, Xia Chenfeng, and Hu Lin hurriedly followed. In the blink of an eye, only the Crown Prince, Su Junqing, Yi Yuxuan, and Yi Shanshan were left. Father, big sister is too heartless. How can she cut off our relationship just like that? We are a family. Yi Shanshan's face was anxious and sad, but in fact, she wanted to take the opportunity to give Yi Yuxuan a hard time. However, Yi Yuxuan's face was ashen. He glared at her fiercely and scolded, You're a useless thing. With that, he flicked his sleeves and left. Yi Shanshan wanted to chase after him, but she felt that it was too unsightly, so she stopped and looked at the Crown Prince with an aggrieved expression. The reason why she wrote a letter to encourage her father to clean up the family was also because of the Crown Prince. The Crown Prince's face was flushed red. He didn't notice Yi Shanshan's expression at all. His ears were filled with the voices of the common people, as if they were saying how incompetent he was. He really couldn't understand. Yi Jioga had clearly been forced into a desperate situation by them, so how could he turn the tables so easily? Crown Prince, let's go back. Su Junqing said in a low voice, At a time like this, we have to keep our composure. Let's go. The Crown Prince turned around and led his people back to the medicine refining building. Yi Shanshan hurriedly followed the Crown Prince back to the medicine refining building's rising sky pavilion. She originally wanted to discuss with the Crown Prince what to do next. Unexpectedly, the Crown Prince didn't have the time to pay attention to her. He went to the study with Su Junqing and even had people guard the door, preventing her from entering. At this moment, Yi Shanshan's mood was ashamed, angry, and hateful. The Crown Prince was her good match, and Su Junqing was her cousin. These two people should be very close to her, but they both rejected her at the same time, making her deeply feel that she was not trusted. Unfortunately, she didn't have the courage to rush into the study and cause a ruckus. She could only leave indignantly. The crown prince lost his temper in the study. He pointed at Su Junqing and cursed, "Su Junqing, what the hell are you doing? Didn't you say that Yi Jioga is dead for sure? But now, she's the hero who killed the heretic cultivator and the imperial uncle favors her. I'm the clown, the biggest joke of the Thunder Country. Crown Prince, please quell your anger. Yi Jioga's name is only temporarily cleared, and it won't affect our grand plan much. The Thunder Country's side is more or less done, and the throne will belong to you. Why must you waste so much effort on Yi Jioga?" Su Junqing calmly persuaded. "Really? The arrangements in the capital are more or less done." The crown prince's eyes brightened. "That's right. Once the matter with Alchemy City is over, you will become the next emperor of the Thunder Country." Su Junqing spoke without hesitation. Good, good, good. As long as you work well for me, I won't mistreat you." The crown prince excitedly patted Su Junqing's shoulder with a face full of satisfaction. "Thank you for your appreciation, Your Highness. This subordinate will go now." Su Junqing smiled in a flattering manner. "Go." The crown prince waved his hand in satisfaction. Su Junqing respectfully bowed before returning to his room. His face, which was full of confidence just a moment ago, immediately became anxious and uneasy. He took out a communication talisman and sent a message, "Senior, old Jiang is dead. Come back as soon as you hear the news." After burning the communication talisman, he was still worried. He walked around the room a few times, and after thinking for a while, he took out some ointment to disguise himself as a handsome middle-aged man. He went to the medicine refining pavilion and told the guard that he wanted to see Zhang Peng. "May I ask who you are?" The guard looked at Su Junqing in confusion. "I am his father." Su Junqing smiled. "So it is Uncle Zhang. Please wait a moment, I will call someone over." The guard's expression immediately became one of flattery. Zhang Peng was the third most important person in the alchemy pavilion, second only to Li Zijuan. After a while, a young man in white with regular features walked out. When he saw Su Junqing, he said eagerly, "Father, how come you have the time to look for me?" "I was just passing by, so I came to see you." Su Junqing kindly replied. "Father, come sit here." Zhang Peng brought Su Junqing to a secluded place before whispering, "The situation is so tense right now, why did you come to see me?" Chapter 187. I had no choice. It was an emergency, so I had to find you. Do you know what Yi Jioga said to Dongfang Yao when he returned? Su Junqing asked. He had spent a lot of effort, money, and spells to win over Zhang Peng. Unless it was absolutely necessary, he didn't want to use this chess piece. But now that old Jiang was killed and Lu Yunfei was missing, he was a little anxious. They are still discussing in the tea room. Aside from Li Zijuan, no one else can enter. Zhang Peng's handsome face flashed with jealousy when he mentioned Li Zijuan. He believed that whether it was cultivation, character, or alchemy skills, he was no worse than Li Zijuan. However, Grandmaster Dongfang favored Li Zijuan. Not only did he accept him as his last disciple, but he also handed over all matters of the alchemy pavilion to him. Zhang Peng had stayed in the pavilion for more than 20 years and put in a lot of effort, but he was still an honorary disciple. He would forever be below Li Zijuan. He couldn't accept this. As long as you investigate their next move, Li Zijuan won't live for long. At that time, you will be the first disciple of the alchemy pavilion. Su Junqing tempted him. He had made use of Zhang Peng's hatred towards Li Zijuan to win him over. Okay, I will inform you if there is any news. Zhang Peng nodded and returned to the pavilion. At this time, Yi Jioga, Dongfang Yao, and Li Zijuan were sitting in the tea room, discussing how to deal with bloodthirst. She told Dongfang Yao and Li Zijuan all the information she knew about bloodthirsty sect, including the methods they often used. According to you, bloodthirst is stirring up trouble in Alchemy City because he wants to use me as a bait? Dongfang Yao raised his brows. Yes. Yi Jiuge nodded. This bloodthirst is quite daring. Dongfang Yao sneered. He had been famous for a long time and was a top character in the Thunder Nation. Now, he was being used as a bait by a heretical cultivator. This was a great insult to him. This bloodthirst is ruthless and has many tricks up his sleeves. Grandmaster Dongfang, you must not be careless. Yi Jiuge solemnly advised. Humph, if he came here personally, I would be a little afraid. But he wants to take me down by sending a few evil cultivators? He's looking down on me too much. Dongfang Yao was truly enraged. He turned to Li Zijuan and said, pass down my orders. Offer a reward of 1,000 gold coins for any clues leading to the heretical cultivators and 10,000 words for their heads. Then, send out all the guards of Alchemy City. We must find the bloodthirsty sect's heretical cultivators and kill them all. Yes. Li Zijuan nodded, then asked hesitantly, what about the Crown Prince and Su Junqing? Don't touch them yet. Send someone to keep an eye on them. After I eradicate the remnants of the bloodthirsty sect, I will personally send Dongfang Jianming, this blind fool, back to Shangjing to be punished by his father, Dongfang Yao said fiercely. How did their Dongfang family produce such a muddle-headed thing? He actually mixed with evil cultivators. He must be tired of living. I understand. Li Zijuan nodded solemnly. Yi Jiuge frowned and disagreed. Grandmaster, Su Junqing is a sinister and cunning person with many tricks up his sleeve. I'm afraid it's not good to leave him alone. I think it's better to lock him up first. It would be even better if they could immediately announce Su Junqing's identity as a heretical cultivator. That way, they wouldn't have to worry about him using the bewitching art again. I know what to do. You don't need to say anything more. Dongfang Yao shook his head. The Su family had deep roots in Shangjing and was deeply involved with the Crown Prince. If they rashly captured Su Junqing, he was afraid that the Crown Prince would be dragged into this. No matter how hateful the Crown Prince was, he was still a member of the Dongfang family. If the scandal of him colluding with heretical cultivators was exposed, it would have a great impact on the Dongfang family and might even shake the hearts of the people. As a member of the Dongfang family, he had to think more about the family. Yi Jiuge saw that Dongfang Yao had already said this much and didn't say anything else. Instead, he asked Li Zijuan about the matter of trapping Lu Yunfei. Senior apprentice Brother Li, you made such a thorough plan last night. How did Brother One get injured? Last night, we used the treasure-seeking scorpion that you gave us to lure Lu Yunfei over. However, that woman was indeed powerful. She killed many of our people and injured Brother Wan. In the end, we couldn't stop her and even the treasure-seeking scorpion was stolen by her. Li Zijuan lowered his head and said in shame. It was because of this that he invited his master out and let his master personally take charge of the situation. Lu Yunfei is the direct disciple of the bloodthirsty ancestor. She has many treasures on her. It's normal that you didn't check the corpse. Yi Jiuge comforted him with good intentions. Normal my ass. Dongfang Yao glared at Li Zijuan and scolded, what did I tell you before? Don't just bury yourself in cultivating alchemy all day. You also need to take care of your spiritual techniques. Last night, if it wasn't for Wan Xiang blocking a palm for you, you would have lost your life. Don't think that you can protect yourself just because you have a lot of spirit guards around you. In this world, only relying on yourself is the safest. Master is right. This disciple knows his mistake. Li Zijuan hurriedly bowed in acknowledgement. In the past, he always thought that if he cultivated his alchemy techniques well, he wouldn't have to worry about his safety if he hired more guards. But after the big battle last night, those guards couldn't even take care of themselves. Only then did he realize how important cultivation was. I'll go see Brother Wan first. Yi Jiuge didn't want to listen to Dongfang Yao scold his disciple, so he stood up and said his goodbyes. I'll send someone to bring you there. Li Zijuan stood up and opened the door. Just as he was about to call for an apprentice, he saw Zhang Peng walking past him and took the initiative to ask, "Senior Brotherly, what's the matter?" "I want to find an apprentice to bring Miss Yi to the extraordinary pavilion to see Wan Ziang," Li Zijuan said casually. "I'm about to go to the extraordinary pavilion. If Miss Yi doesn't mind, let me lead the way." Zhang Peng smiled. "Then I'll have to trouble you." Yi Jioga didn't think too much and followed Zhang Peng to the extraordinary pavilion. "Miss, you've been wrong this time. I told them that Grandmaster Yun's granddaughter couldn't be a leader of evil cultivators, but they didn't believe me. Luckily, you've cleared your name," Zhang Peng said indignantly. "It's all thanks to Grandmaster Dongfang's wisdom," Yi Jioga replied indifferently. Although Zhang Peng was handsome, she inexplicably didn't like him. Grandmaster Dongfang was in seclusion and didn't have time. Now that he's come out to take charge of the situation, he'll definitely bring those arrogant evil cultivators to justice. When that time comes, I'll need Miss Ye's help. Zhang Peng continued with a smile, but his tone was full of probing. "I don't dare. I'm just a weak woman. I don't dare to take on such a heavy responsibility." Yi Jioga shook her head weakly. "Miss Yi, you're too humble. You're the first person to kill an evil cultivator. I heard that those evil cultivators are very cruel. Miss Yi, you must have spent a lot of effort." Zhang Peng's topic revolved around the evil cultivators. He wanted to get some information from Yi Jioga. Unfortunately, Yi Jioga's mouth was tightly sealed. In the end, it was just polite words. Chapter 188. Zhang Peng walked Yi Jioga to the entrance of Extraordinary Pavilion, but he didn't get anything useful from Yi Jioga. He could only leave resentfully. Yi Jioga pushed open the unlatched door of Extraordinary Pavilion and walked into the house with light steps. At the door, he saw Wan Ziang lying on the bed with a pale face, surrounded by Bai Songling and the others. "Eldest Miss is here?" Ouyang Sen was the closest to the door, so he was the first to see her walk in. "Where are Hu Lin and Xia Chenfeng?" Yi Jioga glanced around and didn't see Hu Lin and Xia Chenfeng. "They went to get their reward," Ouyang Sen replied. "This is?" Yi Jioga looked beside Ouyang Senator. There stood a dark-skinned, tall, and burly man. His eyes shone brightly, and his short hair stood on end. He seemed to be the level 2 alchemist Xiong Yunhu, who was scared out of his wits by the evil cultivator and insisted on staying in the alchemy pavilion. "Nice to meet you, Miss Yi." Xiong Yunhu grinned, looking extremely simple and honest. "Good day, alchemist Xiong." Yi Jioga nodded and thought to himself, "This guy is so muscular, I really can't tell he's such a coward." Xiong Yunhu was quite good at reading expressions. Seeing that Yi Jioga was here to talk to Wan Ziang, he immediately stood up and said, "I still have something to do, so I won't disturb Brother Wan's rest. Let's talk another day." "Take care, alchemist Xiong." Wan Ziang nodded. "I'll see you off." Ouyang Sen was the closest to Xiong Yunhu, so he took the initiative to see him off. "Come visit me when you have time, alchemist Ouyang. I still have many things to talk to you about." Before Xiong Yunhu left, he repeatedly invited Ouyang Sen to look for him. Ouyang Sen readily agreed. Yi Jioga looked at Xiong Yunhu's back and turned to ask Wan Ziang, "Are you familiar with him?" "Today was the first time I talked to him." Wan Ziang shook his head. "If you're not familiar, why did he look for you for no reason?" Yi Jioga asked doubtfully. "He probably heard that alchemist Ouyang is here, so he came to see." Wan Ziang said hesitantly. "I've only met him a few times." Ouyang Sen quickly distanced himself from Xiong Yunhu. He didn't want others to think he was a coward like Xiong Yunhu. He's just a coward. If he wants to come, then come. Why bother with him so much? Bai Songling curled her lips disapprovingly and asked Yi Jioga, "How did your talk with Master Dongfang go?" "Great Master Dongfang has already given the order to capture the evil cultivators of bloodthirsty sect. He will personally take action. Yi Jioga sat down in front of Wan Xiang's bed. That's good. Gong Honglei almost turned the world upside down when you were not here. Li Zijuan persuaded him to bring back Gong Hongyu's body before sending him away. Bai Songling was also a little relieved. If Gong Honglei had been present today, it would not have been so easy for Yi Jioga and the others to clear their names. She rolled up her sleeves and wanted to fight with Little Mute. All right, stop quarreling. Let's get down to business. Luo Tian quickly stopped their quarrel and said seriously, Lu Yunfei was injured last night. I think now is the time to deal with her. Otherwise, when her injury recovers, I am afraid it will be troublesome. But the problem is that we don't know where to find her. Yi Yu said awkwardly. I know. Luo Tian smiled slyly. It turned out that when Little Red was capturing the treasure-seeking scorpion, he had secretly instructed Little Red to leave something on the treasure-seeking scorpion. No matter where the treasure-seeking scorpion went, Little Red would be able to find it. Little Red is not bad. It is a good insect. Bai Songling immediately gave a thumbs up. That is a must. Luo Tian was proud. This matter should not be delayed. Let's go now. Yi Yu said impatiently. Yi Jioga also expressed his agreement. Lu Yunfei was the direct disciple of the bloodthirsty sex ancestor. If they could capture her, they would be able to deal a heavy blow to the bloodthirsty sect. Xiang, rest well and wait for our triumphant return. Bai Songling patted Wan Xiang's shoulder and waved her hand in high spirits. Let's go. Luo Tian summoned Little Red and used his consciousness to order it to find the treasure-seeking scorpion. Little Red circled above the room. After determining the direction, it flapped its wings and flew forward. Yi Jioga left the lofty pavilion and immediately felt countless eyes staring at them from the dark. She turned around and looked at the extremely quiet alchemy pavilion. Suddenly, a feeling of anxiety arose in her heart. It was as if something unexpected was about to happen. Chapter 189. Eldest Miss, what's wrong? Yi Yu followed Yi Jioga's gaze and looked towards the alchemy pavilion. It's nothing. Yi Jioga suppressed this strange feeling and repeatedly comforted himself. With Dongfang Yao overseeing the alchemy pavilion, Wan Xiang and the others will be fine. Then let's go. Yi Yu didn't think too much about it. All his thoughts were on chasing after Lu Yunfei. Yi Jioga nodded and led the others to follow behind Lil Red. After leaving Alchemy City, they made their way into the forest and finally arrived at a precipitous cliff. The mountain wind whistled, causing Yi Jioga's dress to flutter. Looking down from above, it was impossible to see the situation at the bottom of the cliff. Could it be that Lu Yunfei jumped off the cliff? Bai Songling looked at the cliff suspiciously. You want to jump off a cliff? Even that demoness doesn't know how to jump off a cliff. Ju Nichen sneered. Lu Yunfei might have discovered the 1,000-mile fragrance on the treasure-seeking scorpion, Luo Tian said solemnly. The trail is broken. What should we do next? Yi Yu frowned. There were dense forests everywhere, and it would not be easy to find Lu Yunfei. Luo Tian, can you let Little Red find the general direction in which Lu Yunfei disappeared? Bai Songling asked expectantly. Let me try, Luo Tian ordered Little Red. Little Red circled left and right a few times, but in the end, it was still unable to determine a specific direction. This place is too big. Even Little Red can't do anything about it. Luo Tian tried and shook his head. Lu Yunfei has been in Alchemy City for so long, she must have a fixed base outside. Let's look carefully, maybe we can find some clues. Bai Songling was not willing to let the demoness go like this. Stronghold? Yi Jioga's eyes lit up as he thought of something. Back then, the corpses that were thrown into the rubble all had red clay at their feet. That red clay might be where Lu Yunfei was hiding. Do you know where there is red clay nearby? I know of a valley where the soil is red, Bai Songling immediately said. Previously, he had been tracking down the missing spiritualists and searched all the mountains nearby. Nobody knew better than him. Let's go take a look. In this situation, they could not let go of any clues. Bai Songling led them through a dense forest and finally came to a low-lying valley. The valley was overgrown with weeds and vines. The exposed soil was brown, and there was no sign of red clay at all. The red clay is under that patch of grass. Bai Songling pointed at the grayish-green patch of grass on the far left. Speaking of which, it was also a coincidence. When he led the team to this place, there was an unlucky guy who accidentally fell down and came up with a butt full of red mud, which made them laugh uncontrollably. There's something strange about this grass. Yi Jioga opened his spiritual eye to take a closer look and realized that the grass was covered in a black-red mist which was extremely strange. Bai Songling, who was about to jump down, immediately retracted his foot and said, "Should I release Big Mouth out to have a look?" Ever since he found out that his big mouth goo had the ability to swallow poisonous gas, he had been wanting to show off. Big Mouth's cultivation base isn't high enough. This demonic aura far exceeds its ability. It's better not to take the risk. Yi Jioga shook his head. Then, he chose a hard gray stone from the ground. After injecting his spiritual power into it, he threw it at the grassland. There was a loud bang. It was like putting oil into a frying pan. Surging black gas gushed out and instantly swallowed the fist-sized gray stone. It wasn't like this the last time we came. Bai Songling swallowed his saliva, feeling incomparable lingering fear. If not for Yi Jioga's reminder, he would have probably suffered the same fate as the stone. The last time you guys came, this demonic aura shouldn't have been activated. This situation proves that Lu Yunfei is definitely hiding underneath. Yi Jioga said. He finally found the main culprit. But this demonic aura is so hard to deal with, what do we do? Yi Yu was slightly worried. His black overlord was not good at swallowing poisonous gas. This demonic aura was forcefully poured in by Lu Yunfei. As long as we find its door of life, we will be able to break it. Yi Jioga said. Where is the door of life? Luo Tian and the rest asked in unison. Yi Jioga's spiritual eye had not advanced yet, so it was hard for her to find the secret to it. She could only faintly see that the demonic aura in the eastern corner was the weakest. She did not have the time to find the door step by step, so she might as well destroy it with brute force. Yi Jioga flicked out the white bone flame and drew an area at the corner of the grass. He said to Bai Songling and the rest, the door of life is over there. Later on, when I give the order, use your strongest attack to bombard that corner. No problem, watch me. Bai Songling said while rubbing his palms. The rest nodded their heads at the same time. They raised their hands and pointed at the corner, quietly waiting for Yi Jioga's order. Ready, boom. Yi Jioga's hand that was raised high in the air chopped down. Bai Songling and the rest immediately activated all the spiritual energy in their bodies. Multicolored rays of light rained down like a rainstorm. A loud bang resounded. The pitch-black demonic aura surged up violently, destroying the entire patch of grass. A light pink figure scuttled out from the ground, mixed in with the demonic aura, and escaped out of the valley. Want to escape? No way. Yi Jioga removed the lightning snake illusion whip from his waist and used a killing move. The huge purple lightning snake bared its fangs and brandished its claws, pouncing towards Lu Yunfei. Lu Yunfei's pupils shrank. Her hands repeatedly shot out a mist of blood. Although she managed to resist the purple lightning snake's attack, she lost the chance to escape. Yi Yu, Luo Tian, Junichen, and Bai Songling surrounded her, each of them staring at her like a tiger watching its prey. Lu Yunfei's face was a bit pale. She no longer had her usual charm. She glanced at Yi Yu and the rest one by one, revealing a disdainful smile. Even if you claim to be from a righteous sect, a few grown men actually ganging up on a weak girl like me. Don't you feel ashamed? Bai Songling suddenly felt a bit ashamed. He felt that they were indeed a bit bullying. He glanced at his companions and saw that Luo Tian and Juni Chen were full of hatred. They did not feel embarrassed at all that the four of them ganging up on Lu Yunfei. He then looked at Yi Yu and noticed that his throat moved, as if he had swallowed something. Bai Songling's heart jumped. He realized that he seemed to have forgotten something important. At this moment, Lu Yunfei suddenly pounced towards him like lightning. Her blood-glowing palms continuously shot out a mist of blood. Bai Songling was a bit distracted and did not have the time to defend. Seeing that Bai Songling was about to be injured, Yi Yu promptly shot out a gray spirit light to help him block it. Luo Tian also punched at Lu Yunfei, forcing her to retreat to Bai Songling's side. "Xiao Bai, take your medicine." Yi Yu took the time to shout. Bai Songling then remembered that Yi Jioga had warned them many times to take medicine whenever they saw Lu Yunfei. He quickly took out a tranquil heart pill and swallowed it. Instantly, he felt refreshed and the guilt he felt just now disappeared. To deal with a vicious woman like Lu Yunfei, they had to gang up on her. He actually felt ashamed. What the hell? Chapter 190. Bai Songling's hands glowed with green light and transformed into two green vines that joined the battle. The blood mist on Lu Yunfei's body flickered, but she was not at a disadvantage against the four of them. The more Bai Songling fought, the more shocked she became. She did not expect Lu Yunfei to be so powerful even after being injured. She had not even started to use her blood bell and blood sword. Bai Songling thought of this and did not dare to relax anymore. She used all her strength to fight the enemy seriously. The others did the same. Lu Yunfei felt the pressure increase. She had used her charm technique to bewitch the four of them. Yi Yu had already taken the pill, Luo Tian and Juni Chen were unmoved. The only one who was affected was Bai Songling, the wood element spiritualist. It was a pity that Bai Songling woke up too early and she did not succeed. It was all those ants' fault for injuring her last night. Otherwise, how could they be her opponents? Lu Yunfei had not been injured for so many years. This time, she was injured to the extreme. In her anger, she could not care less about her injuries and immediately took out her blood bell to control it. She had to get rid of the four of them quickly to deal with Yi Jioga, who was standing by the side. She did not think that Yi Jioga was powerful the last time they fought. She did not expect Yi Jioga to be hiding his strength. She had really underestimated him. A strange ringing sound came from the blood-red bell. Bai Songling, Yi Yu, and the rest had heard of the power of the blood bell. They immediately jumped back to prevent themselves from being hit. Yi Jioga also became vigilant. He realized that Lu Yunfei's bell was not as powerful as before. It was probably because she was injured. Calling her sick and wanting her life. If he did not make a move now, when would he? "Everyone, let's take her down." Yi Jioga made a prompt decision and joined the battle. The lightning snake illusionary whip in her hand whistled through the air, and streaks of purple lightning flew towards Lu Yunfei. Bai Songling's green vines soared and wrapped around Lu Yunfei. Juni Chen's abdomen trembled and let out a strange call. Dozens of rank 1 black top snakes came to attack Lu Yunfei. Luo Tian relied on the strength of his physical body and punched towards Lu Yunfei. Lu Yunfei was already injured. Now that she was surrounded by everyone, she could not take it. A moment of carelessness, Yi Jioga's thunder snake fantasy whip hit her wrist and the blood bell flew out. She opened her mouth and spat out a red sword at Luo Tian. Unexpectedly, Xiao Hong, Big Mouth, and Black Overlord, the three goo worms, were already waiting at the side. They swarmed up and swallowed the blood sword cleanly. Lu Yunfei used up all her moves and knew that she was not a match for these people. She was not in the mood to continue fighting, so she tried to activate the protective blood mist around her to leave, but she found that her body could not move. Yi Yu hid in Lu Yunfei's shadow, and at the crucial moment, he finally used his puppet kill, controlling Lu Yunfei's body. Yi Jioge led Luo Tian and the others to charge forward and press Lu Yunfei to the ground. She sealed Lu Yunfei's vital acupoints and tied her up tightly with ropes. Lu Yunfei's hair was disheveled and her body was covered in mud. She looked battered and exhausted. But her fierce expression was like that of a crazy woman, as if she could pounce on them and bite them at any time. You're about to die, yet you still dare to act so arrogantly? You'll be crying later. Yi Jioge sneered. Pfft, you lowly ants, you actually dare to use despicable methods to deal with this grand ant. This grand ant will skin you and pull out your tendons, then refine you into the lowest grade blood slaves to feed to the dogs. Lu Yunfei cursed crazily, but halfway through, she was slapped by Yi Jioge. She wanted to continue cursing, but the moment she opened her mouth, she was beaten black and blue by Yi Jioge, unable to even open her mouth. Let me tell you, this grand ant does not have a good temper, you better take it easy. Yi Jioge looked down at her from above, his gaze cold and indifferent, as if he was looking at an ant. Old ancestor will definitely not let you off. Lu Yunfei's eyes emitted a venomous light. Then, a trace of blood suddenly flowed out of the corner of her mouth, and she died just like that. Her originally delicate and beautiful white skin instantly turned gray. Her corpse was as stiff as a rock, and even the blood bell had lost its spirit energy. She's really dead. Yi Yu placed his hand under Lu Yunfei's nose, his tone filled with disbelief. He thought that it would at least take a huge battle to deal with Lu Yunfei, but he did not expect her to die so easily. Yi Jioge also did not expect Lu Yunfei to die so easily. She frowned, and said to Junichen, "Little mute, I remember you saying that the direct disciples have something called blood pearl on their bodies?" "Yes, I don't know why she didn't use it." Junichen also felt that it was very strange. "Yi Yu, search Lu Yunfei's body and see if there's anything else on her body." Bai Songling said to Yi Yu. "You're better at examining corpses." Yi Yu did not move. "Although I'm good at examining corpses, you're more familiar with her, so you definitely know her body better than me," Bai Songling said seriously. Yi Yu immediately felt as if a fly had flown into his mouth, and his whole body felt uncomfortable. He was not familiar with Lu Yunfei, he had always been bullied by her. However, he was too lazy to bicker with Bai Songling, and obediently squatted down. From head to toe, he carefully examined the things on Lu Yunfei's body. Other than some jewelry, there was a cosmos sack, and 2 scorpions that were hiding in her sleeves, shivering. Other than the purple treasure-seeking scorpion that was caught by Yi Jioge, there was also a scorpion the size of an infant's fist. Its carapace was light brown, and it was covered with scars from being cut by a knife. Some of the scars had already darkened, and should be old wounds. Some were still very fresh, as if they were cut recently. This brown scorpion also seemed to have a very weak personality, and it kept hiding behind the purple treasure-seeking scorpion while shivering. The purple treasure-seeking scorpion also tried its best to use its body to block it, and its long stinger stood up. It looked as if it would risk its life if anyone dared to touch it. What's going on? Yi Yu was confused. This smaller scorpion should be the wife of the treasure-seeking scorpion, and Lu Yunfei used it to control the scorpion. Junichen was very familiar with this kind of exotic beast, and he immediately started to explain. It turned out that the treasure-seeking scorpion was a very infatuated creature. As long as it found a mate, it would not change until death. Some unscrupulous people would torture the female scorpion in order to stimulate the treasure-seeking scorpion's ability. Looking at the scars on the female scorpion's body, it was obvious that she had been tortured by Lu Yunfei. This witch is really vicious, she won't even let a scorpion go. Yi Yu's disgust towards Lu Yunfei was obvious. When he thought about how he had been bewitched by her seductive technique, and how she had touched him, he felt extremely disgusted. TSK, any male who loves his wife is worthy of admiration, Yi Jioge said with a sigh. Then, he took out 2 spirit beast pills, and handed them to the treasure-seeking scorpion. "You are a natural exotic beast, even if I let you go, it will be difficult for you to escape the pursuit of others in the future, so I suggest that you choose a good master. Chapter 191. Although the treasure-seeking scorpion had developed some intelligence, it still didn't understand Yi Jioga's words. Because of Lu Yunfei, it hated all humans, and was disdainful of humans fawning. It swung its stinger, and wanted to kick away the 2 fragrant pills. Unexpectedly, the female scorpion that had been hiding behind it suddenly jumped out, and quickly swallowed a spirit beast pill. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The treasure-seeking scorpion shouted angrily, "How can you eat something given by humans? They are all bad people." Squeak, squeak, squeak. The female scorpion's previous weakness was gone, and she scolded back with an even sharper voice. "Is there something wrong with your brain? You can't even tell that it's a good thing? If you don't eat it, I will die." Although it had scars all over its body, it was also very fierce when it scolded. The treasure-seeking scorpion immediately softened, and fawningly pushed the remaining spirit beast pill to its wife, and squeaked, "Since there are benefits, you should eat more." Squeak, squeak. The female scorpion originally wanted to leave this pill for its husband. But its body was indeed weak, and if it didn't take supplements, it might not be able to grow old together with its husband. Therefore, it simply swallowed the remaining spirit beast pill. As expected, the love between husband and wife is deep. Yi Jioga sighed. "Young miss, could it be that you can understand their conversation?" Yi Yu asked curiously. He had never heard of young miss having this ability. Yi Jioga was stunned. Only then did she realize that she could actually understand the conversation between the 2 scorpions. She never had such an ability before. "Speaking of which, you seem to understand what Little Red said last time." Jun Chen looked at Yi Jioga with a probing gaze. Although the blood-clothed Miao people could also communicate with Gu, they could only roughly understand the meaning, and could not understand what they were saying. Really? Yi Jioga thought about it, and realized that there really was. At that time, she said that Little Red's big belly looked like it was pregnant, and Little Red angrily said that it was a male insect. But the information she received at that time was not very clear, so she did not take it to heart. At this time, the female scorpion ate the spirit beast pill, and the scars on its body healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. The treasure-seeking scorpion knew that this spirit beast pill was truly beneficial to his wife, so he immediately begged Yi Jioga, "You're a good person, please take us in. Not only can I search for treasures, I can also sneak in and assassinate people. I have great abilities. As long as you can give my wife one of those pills every day, I'm willing to work for you." This time, Yi Jioga could clearly feel that the treasure-seeking scorpion was talking to her. Oh my God! When did she learn this foreign language? Why didn't she know? Yi Jioga carefully retraced the events and found that all these things happened after the fat black rat swallowed her blood essence. Could it be that the fat black rat ate her blood essence and secretly did something to it? When the treasure-seeking scorpion saw that Yi Jioga didn't respond for a long time, it thought that its requirements were too high. It quickly lowered its standards and carefully said, "All right, 1 pill a day is indeed too much. Then, 1 pill a month." Yi Jioga did not hear the words of the treasure-seeking scorpion. She was still immersed in the shock of the fat black rat doing something to her. Zi Shang once reminded her to be careful of the fat black rat and sternly warned her that she absolutely could not let the fat black rat swallow her blood essence. Now that she made a big mistake, how was she going to explain it to Zi Shang? However, with so many people present, she couldn't bring the fat black rat out for interrogation. The treasure-seeking scorpion trembled with fear as it looked at Yi Jioga's expression. Seeing that she was suspicious, annoyed, and finally put on a murderous expression, his little heart suddenly jumped, and he quickly said, "All right, I don't want the meatballs anymore. As long as you don't bully my wife, I'll follow you." After saying that, it especially emphasized, "My wife had a miscarriage last time because of that vicious woman. Now, her body is very weak, and she can't bear even the slightest bit of torment. If you kill her, I won't live alone." The treasure-seeking scorpion's poisonous stinger was raised high to show its determination. The female scorpion that had been quietly staying by its side thought of her miscarried child and was so angry that even her carapace turned dark brown. It had been with the treasure-seeking scorpion for many years, but they had never been able to reproduce. That vicious woman probably wanted to get another treasure-seeking scorpion, so she fed them a lot of drugs to stimulate them into estrus and mating. After much difficulty, she was finally pregnant with a baby. In the end, that vicious woman used medicine to test it and found that the child in its belly was just an ordinary scorpion, so she got rid of the child. It hated that vicious woman to death, but unfortunately, it had no way to deal with her. That vicious woman was really too strong. But now, that powerful and vicious woman was killed by these humans, which meant that these humans were stronger than her. Most importantly, that girl with snow-like skin and unimaginably beautiful, who looked like a white lotus, had a very good heart. This could be seen from the fact that she didn't stop it from swallowing the 2 good pills. The female scorpion made up her mind to follow this white lotus for the rest of her life, so she said to the treasure-seeking scorpion, "Tell it that you're willing to make a contract with her." Why? The treasure-seeking scorpion was very shocked. Its wife was very stubborn. When it was tortured and abused by that vicious woman, it gritted its teeth and didn't let it agree to sign a contract with that vicious woman. Why did she agree now? She's a good person. The female scorpion was also very helpless, but it felt that other than signing a contract, it couldn't come up with any other conditions to move the white lotus girl. All right. The treasure-seeking scorpion had always listened to its wife, so it wanted to ask Yi-Jyoga to sign a contract. At this time, Yi-Jyoga had already woken up from the chaos of being tricked by the fat black rat. Hearing the treasure-seeking scorpion couple's words, she quickly said, "I don't need you to sign a contract with me. If you want to follow me, then follow me. In the future, if you find a suitable master or have other plans, just let me know in advance." Zi Shang wasn't here, so Yi-Jyoga didn't dare to casually sign a contract with a strange beast. Most importantly, with the fat black rat around, she didn't like the treasure-seeking scorpion's ability to find treasures. The treasure-seeking scorpion couple was stunned. They had been abused by Lu Yunfei for too long, and they didn't dare to believe that there was such a good person in this world. "I still have things to do, go rest in my bag first. We'll talk about other things later." After Yi-Jyoga finished speaking, she opened the bag that she carried with her. The fat black rat turned over in the corner of the bag, sleeping soundly. The treasure-seeking scorpion couple wisely chose a corner that was the furthest away from her and quietly lay dormant. Juni Chen and Luo Tian had been watching the conversation between Yi-Jyoga and the 2 scorpions. Seeing that she was really proficient in the beast language, they revealed complicated expressions. Chapter 192. Just as Juni Chen was about to speak, Yi-Jyoga interrupted him. "It's useless even if you ask me, I still don't know how I suddenly understand the beast language." Before Zi Shang came out, Yi-Jyoga didn't want to expose the special ability of the fat black rat. Juni Chen frowned. He was very dissatisfied with Yi-Jyoga's answer. Being proficient in the beast language was very important to the Blood Cloak tribe. If he learned it, he could kill his way back to avenge the tribe leader. Luo Tian grabbed the young master's shoulder and shook his head in disagreement. Everyone had their own secrets. They didn't have the right to interrogate, not to mention that the person with the secret was Yi-Jyoga. Juni Chen bit his lower lip. He knew that he was wrong, but he wanted revenge too much. Yi Yu sensed that the atmosphere wasn't good. He quickly said, "Let's talk about the beast language later. Let's see what's in Lu Yunfei's Cosmos bag first." After that, he erased the imprint on Lu Yunfei's Cosmos bag and shook out the things inside. First was a thick pile of beautiful beauty skin. Gong Hongyu's human skin was also in it. Other than that, there were 18 blood bottles filled with extremely thick blood and 15 jade boxes. These jade boxes contained bloody meatballs, which were the spiritual roots that they had collected from the spiritualists they had killed during this period of time. But he didn't see the blood beads that Juni Chen mentioned. Yi Yu looked around and didn't find anything that looked like the blood beads. He wasn't sure if he missed anything, so he looked up at Junie Chen and asked, "Did you remember wrongly?" "Impossible, a core disciple like Lu Yunfei must have blood beads, unless she gave them to someone else," Junie Chen said with certainty. "Can this thing be given to someone else?" Bai Songling asked curiously. "Of course, although these blood beads can increase one's combat power, they also cause great damage after use." With Lu Yunfei's arrogant personality, she probably felt that she couldn't use it, so she gave it to someone who needed it more. Although these were all Junie Chen's conjectures, he felt that it was most likely the truth. Bai Songling and Yi Yu felt that Junie Chen's words made sense. Yi Jioga, on the other hand, was skeptical. She didn't know why, but she felt that she had missed some very important clues that could affect the entire situation. What was it? Yi Jioga felt a swelling pain in his head, but he had no clue. At this time, Junie Chen's expression suddenly changed, and he said, "Not good, Wan Xiang's insects have been killed." Xiang's insect was killed? How is that possible? Bai Songling couldn't believe it. Wan Xiang was doing fine in the alchemy pavilion. How could something happen to him? Would I joke about something like this? Junie Chen's expression was ugly. Before Wan Xiang's goo hatched, it was still under the control of his blood essence. Now that he was killed for no reason, it was also a great loss to him. Little Master is not lying. Wan Xiang's goo worm is indeed dead, Luo Tian said solemnly. As soon as he finished speaking, Lilith, Red, Big Mouth, and Black Tyrant all flew above everyone's heads uneasily. They flew around in circles and looked extremely agitated. Could it be that Su Junqing realized that he had been exposed and decided to take the risk to attack Ziyang? The more Bai Songling thought about it, the more she felt that it was possible. She quickly said to Yi Jioga, "Why don't we go back and have a look?" He had the deepest friendship with Wan Xiang. When he heard that he was in trouble, he wanted nothing more than to grow a pair of wings and fly back to the alchemy pavilion to investigate and save him. "Let's go, we'll go back now," Yi Jioga immediately ordered. Lu Yunfei's corpse wasn't easy to take away, so Yi Yu found a place to hide her. The Cosmos sack was left with Yi Jioga. After the group finished their preparations, they hurriedly rushed towards Alchemy City. The valley was quite a distance away from Alchemy City. They hurried, but they still couldn't make it back before the city gates closed. It was already dusk. The afterglow of the setting sun cast a dark yellow glow on the closed city gates. Yi Jioga, Bai Songling, Yi Yu, and the rest squatted on a small hill half a mile away from the city gates, looking at Alchemy City from afar. She didn't know why, but when she looked at the closed city gates from afar, her heart thumped wildly. She actually didn't dare to approach. "What's wrong, young miss?" Bai Songling looked at Yi Jioga in confusion. She didn't understand why she was guarding here and not willing to enter Alchemy City. Though the city gates were closed, it wasn't a big deal to them. They could just find a hidden place to cross over. Yi Jioga shook his head, "Something's not right. It's not a wise move to return to Alchemy City right now." She didn't know how to describe her feelings, but she instinctively didn't want to go in. Yi Yu suggested, "How about I sneak in first to see what's going on?" The sky was already dark, and the city walls were surrounded by shadows. As long as he was careful, there shouldn't be a problem. "All right, be careful then." Yi Jioga nodded in agreement. Yi Yu crept away from his spot and carefully sneaked into the shadows to approach the city walls. Yi Jioga and the others carefully watched Yi Yu. After seeing that he successfully sneaked into the city walls, they finally sighed in relief. The sun slowly set, and the last of its light disappeared without a trace. At this time, the city gates suddenly opened. Two groups of soldiers with magic tools to search for evil cultivators began to attack the mountains on both sides. The gates slowly closed behind them, but the security on top of the city walls became even stricter. The top of the walls was brightly lit, and teams of fully armored soldiers were patrolling. Yi Jioga even saw quite a few spiritualists patrolling everywhere. The entire city was on high alert. What's going on in Alchemy City? Bai Songling also felt that something was wrong. Alchemy City wasn't this tense even when the evil cultivators were at their peak. I don't know what's going on in your Thunder Nation, but in our Blood Cloak clan, this is only the case when the clan leader is being assassinated. Luo Tian spoke word by word. Yi Jioge finally understood what he had missed out on. The bloodthirsty sect's target has always been Grandmaster Dongfang. Did something happen to him? That can't be. Bai Songling was shocked. No matter how powerful the evil cultivators from the bloodthirsty sect are, they can't possibly make a move against Grandmaster Dongfang in the Alchemy Pavilion. If they were really that powerful, everyone in the Alchemy Pavilion would be dead already. No, something must have happened to Grandmaster Dongfang. There must be something we haven't thought of in the Alchemy Pavilion. Yi Jioge's mind raced, but the more he thought about it, the more he couldn't think of anything. At this time, the treasure-seeking scorpion's voice came from the pouch. Master, I heard from Lu Yunfei that there was a demonic cultivator called Old Xiong who not only ruined most of her human skin, but also stole the blood bead that the ancestor gave her. She even said that when she returns, she must report him to the ancestor. Chapter 193. Old Bear, could it be Xiong Yunhu? Yi Jioge's heart tightened. No wonder that Xiong Yunhu pretended to be a coward and stayed in the Alchemy Pavilion. He clearly had ulterior motives. It seemed like bloodthirsty ancestor didn't just send an evil cultivator in disguise. Xiong Yunhu had been in the Alchemy Pavilion for so long, so he must have done many things in secret. If that was the case, Yi Yu would be in danger. Yi Jioge was worried and was wondering if he should send someone to rescue Yi Yu. Then her bag moved, and a purple scorpion head popped out. Master, do you want me to help you investigate the situation of the Alchemy Pavilion? The treasure-seeking scorpion volunteered. You? Yi Jioge was surprised. He did not expect the treasure-seeking scorpion to be so proactive in helping him. However, now that the Alchemy Pavilion was so heavily armed, she was worried that the treasure-seeking scorpion would just be delivering itself to its doorstep. Master, don't look at me like this. I'm actually very good at burrowing underground, the treasure-seeking scorpion said as it waved its two pincers. Many of these treasures were buried deep underground. If it didn't have some skills, how could it have found them? All right, then go ahead and give it a try. Do what you can and retreat if there is any danger. Yi Jioge nodded. If he burrowed into the ground, it would not be a big deal. Last time, the treasure-seeking scorpion was able to sneak into her window without making a sound, so it must have some ability. All right, I'll go now. The treasure-seeking scorpion crawled out of the bag and prepared to set off. Wait a minute. Yi Jioge called out to the treasure-seeking scorpion and poured out a spirit beast pill for it before saying, replenish your strength. Leave it for my wife. The treasure-seeking scorpion immediately said. You eat first. If this matter is done well, I will reward you. Yi Jioge stuffed it into the treasure-seeking scorpion's pincers. The treasure-seeking scorpion already had some intelligence. Although it felt bad for its wife, it wanted to complete the mission and obtain the reward. He immediately ate the spirit beast pill, then landed on the ground and disappeared in front of Yi Jioge's eyes. Yi Jioge opened his spiritual eye and saw a faint purple shadow heading towards Alchemy City at a rather fast speed. Relieved, she opened the bag and looked inside. The female scorpion was sleeping quietly in the corner. It had been abused before and its body was very weak. After eating the spirit beast pill, it automatically entered a state of deep sleep to repair itself. On the other side of the bag, the fat black rat was still hugging its tail, curled up into a small furry ball and sleeping. Yi Jioge poked its chubby body and whispered, black fatty, black fatty. The fat black rat did not react at all. Yi Jioge simply took it out of the bag and rubbed it in his hand. But the fat black rat was like a dead pig, not responding at all. If it weren't for the fact that its body was still warm, Yi Jioge would have thought that it was dead. Ever since this fellow drank her blood essence, he had been in a state of deep sleep. She had no idea what was going on. This black fatty was becoming more and more mysterious. He had to figure out its origins. If only Zishang was here. This fat black rat was most afraid of him. Yi Jiuge could not help but sigh. Bai Songling thought that she was worried about Wan Xiang, so she comforted her, "Miss, you don't have to worry too much. Xiang is blessed by the heavens. He'll be fine." "I hope so." Yi Jiuge stuffed the fat black mouse back into the belt and was about to tell Bai Songling and the others about Xiong Yunhu. A ray of purple light suddenly shot back from the city wall. It was the shadow of the treasure-seeking scorpion. Why did it return so quickly? Yi Jiuge was shocked. She immediately opened her spiritual eye and saw a gray shadow following behind the treasure-seeking scorpion. She could tell that the shadow was Yi Yu. Yi Yu's shadow was flickering. It seemed that the situation was not good. Yi Jiuge immediately sent Bai Songling and Luo Tian to help. Yi Yu was already an arrow at the end of its flight. He was holding on with his last breath. Seeing Bai Songling and Luo Tian, he finally relaxed and collapsed. Bai Songling carried Yi Yu on her back and Luo Tian protected him. The three of them quickly returned to their original position. "Let's change locations," Yi Jiuge immediately ordered. Although there were no pursuers, they could not stay in one place for too long. Jun Yichen led the way. The group moved to an even more secluded forest before settling down. Yi Jiuge immediately treated Yi Yu. His face was deathly pale. His eyebrows, sideburns, eyes and lips had turned a strange dark red. His entire body was boiling hot. Even his breath was hot. It was obvious that he was poisoned. Black Overlord was lying on Yi Yu's neck. Its originally black body had turned dark red. "How is Yi Yu?" Bai Songling asked worriedly. "He's fine." Fortunately, Black Overlord absorbed most of the poison. Otherwise, even if he didn't die, he would be half dead. Yi Jiuge fed Yi Yu some frost powder. Then, he took out the thunder fire needle and started to stab Yi Yu. Drops of fiery red blood dripped down, burning small holes in the grass. What a tyrannical poison. Bai Songling was shocked. Her gaze landed on Black Overlord again. Then, she glanced at Little Mute. Bloodthirsty sex poison techniques were strange and unpredictable. If not for the protection of Little Mute's goo worms, Yi Yu would have died many times. When Bai Songling thought of this, he couldn't help but touch Big Mouth on his wrist. He secretly decided that he must ask Yi Jiuge for more spirit beast pills to cultivate Big Mouth. After Yi Jiuge forced the fire poison out of Yi Yu's body, he stabbed his Renjong acupoint. Yi Yu's body trembled. He finally woke up. As soon as he opened his eyes, he struggled to sit up and said in a hoarse voice, "Not good." "What's not good? How is Xiang?" Bai Songling asked impatiently. "Xiang is locked up in prison," Yi Yu said with a pale face. "What? Who locked him up?" Bai Songling shouted angrily. Although Wan Xiang's military power was taken away, he was still the emperor's man. Who dared to touch him? "It's the crown prince." Yi Yu gritted his teeth and said, "He and Su Junqing took advantage of Xiang's serious injuries to tie him up. They even crushed Xiang's goo worms. What right does the crown prince have? What about Master Dongfang and Li Zijuan? Are they just going to sit back and do nothing?" Bai Songling suddenly thought of this. Her expression changed drastically. Are they also bewitched by Su Junqing's bewitching art? That's not right. If he wanted to bewitch them, he would have done it long ago. Why wait until now? They weren't bewitched. I heard people from the alchemy pavilion say that Xiang was bewitched by evil cultivators and secretly poisoned Master Dongfang and Li Zijuan. Now that Master Dongfang is unconscious and Li Zijuan is in danger, the entire alchemy city is in chaos. Yi Yuxuan joined hands with the crown prince. With the help of the Alchemy Pavilion's second-in-command, Zhang Peng, they took over Alchemy City's defense. They believe that Xiang is the murderer and said that we are also evil cultivators in disguise. They want to arrest us. Yi Yu took a deep breath and continued, the worst thing is that Gong Honglei suddenly came back this morning. He heard that Master Dongfang was harmed by Wan Xiang. He immediately stood on the crown prince's side. Chapter 194. Bullshit, which eye of theirs saw us being tricked by the heretic? Bai Songling jumped up in anger. He wanted nothing more than to rush into the city and strangle the crown prince. The real evil cultivator is Xiong Yunhu. He should be like Jiang Xingjie, equipped with an aura-concealing magic tool. Moreover, his cultivation is even higher than Lu Yunfei's. Yi Jioga told him about Xiong Yunhu in a deep voice. So it's that guy. I knew he wasn't a good person, coming to visit Xiang for no reason. He's clearly a weasel paying respects to a chicken. He must have planned to harm us. Bai Songling regretted not sending them off. If he knew this would happen, he would have stayed at the Alchemy Pavilion to accompany Wan Xiang. There's no point in saying all this now. We should hurry and think of a way to save Xiang. Yi Jioga's expression was solemn. Aside from saving Wan Xiang, she also wanted to see the heavily injured Dongfang Yao and Li Zijuan. She had the Thunderfire needles and many supreme-grade pills left behind by her grandfather. No matter how heavily injured they were, she could still save them. The only problem was that Alchemy City was full of obstacles and the Alchemy Pavilion was heavily guarded. With the Crown Prince, Yi Yuxuan, and Gong Honglei interfering, it wouldn't be easy for her to sneak into the pavilion. Yi Yu's next words confirmed Yi Jioga's conjecture. The prison is still fine. Most of the guards are ordinary soldiers. However, Dongfang Yao and Li Zijuan's Alchemy Pavilion has been surrounded by the Crown Prince, Su Junqing, and Yi Yuxuan's men. Not even a mosquito can enter. Su Junqing even set up a fire trap around the pavilion to deal with me. If it wasn't for the scorpion, I would have died as well. Yi Yu gritted his teeth in hatred when he thought of the fire trap Su Junqing set up. That vicious bastard actually used living people to set up a trap. Otherwise, he wouldn't have fallen for it. 16 guards, 16 lives, he used them so easily to fill the hole. Yi Yu's words weighed heavily on the crowd. Who would have thought that they would fall into an even more difficult situation after clearing their grievances yesterday? Don't be too discouraged. From another perspective, this is the heretical cultivator's final scheme. As long as we save Wan Xiang and heal Master Dongfang and Li Zijuan's injuries, we can completely destroy the bloodthirsty sex plot, Yi Jioga said calmly. Eldest Miss is right, Jiang Xingjie and Lu Yunfei have already been killed by us. Xiong Yunhu and Su Junqing won't be able to be arrogant for long. Once we expose their conspiracy, the Crown Prince, Yi Yuxuan, and Gong Honglei will be waiting to slap their faces. A ferocious smile appeared on Bai Songling's face as he said, they are helping the evil cultivators to open the way for them. They should be the ones who colluded with the evil cultivators. That's right. When the time comes, we'll be the ones to see how they clear their grievances. Yi Yu's spirits were lifted at the thought of this. He had thought that it would take many years to bring down the Su family and the Crown Prince to avenge his family. He did not expect that the hope of revenge was right in front of him. As long as he defeated Su Junqing, the Crown Prince who colluded with the evil cultivator would not have a good ending. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go. Bai Songling said in high spirits. Even the treasure-seeking scorpion squeaked as it stood on Yi Jioga's shoulder. Yi Jioga was a generous master. Since he had made a great contribution, he would definitely benefit from it. A bunch of idiots. Jun Yichen was expressionless as he ridiculed. They were clearly going to Alchemy City to die, but they were bragging about it as if it was a hero's medal. Being an idiot is not bad. Luo Tian smiled. He had been very strange before. Wan Ziang, Bai Songling, and Yi Yu were not simple characters. Why would they listen to Yi Zhuge's every word? Even his awkward and arrogant little master was completely convinced by her. Now, he finally understood. Yi Zhuge had a mysterious brilliance about her. No matter how difficult the situation was, she would always be able to overcome it. If Yi Zhuge knew that Luo Tian had such a high evaluation of her, she would definitely smile bitterly. She was just fooling people. Although she had fooled everyone to build up their confidence, she did not dare to recklessly bring them into Alchemy City. Her plan was to rest for 6 hours first. When the city guards were at their most exhausted, they would sneak in. Everyone expressed their approval of this plan. After they killed Jiang Xingjie last night, they rushed back to Alchemy City. Then, they fought with the Crown Prince, Yi Yuxuan, went to see Wan Ziang, and then hurriedly went to kill Lu Yunfei. After going back and forth, they were already very tired. If it weren't for their strong physiques and Yi Zhuge's pills, they would have collapsed long ago. Luo Tian and Zhu Nichen volunteered to keep watch. Their physiques were stronger and they were better at keeping watch. Zhu Nichen kept watch for the first half of the night, while Luo Tian kept watch for the second half. No one competed with them. Bai Songling and Yi Yu each found a place to rest. Yi Zhuge climbed up a 100-year-old banyan tree. Standing on a high branch, she gazed at the brightly lit Alchemy City. Every time this happened, she would miss Zishang. Although that guy was unreliable, he would always help her at crucial moments. Yi Zhuge lowered her head and rubbed the purple mark on her arm. It had been almost half a month, yet there was still no movement from Zishang. She didn't know when he would come out. When he was here, she felt annoyed. Now that he wasn't here, she missed him. Just as Yi Zhuge was silently scolding herself for being unreasonable, the mark seemed to move. Her eyes widened and she hurriedly raised her hand to observe. The flat mark was still dim, without any change. It seemed that she was thinking too much. Forget it, it was better to rest and recover enough energy to save Wan Ziang. Yi Zhuge pulled down her sleeves and prepared to close her eyes. Suddenly, a loud noise came from the distant walls of Alchemy City. Yi Yu and Bai Songling, who were pretending to be asleep, woke up. Luo Tian and Zhu Nichen also came to Yi Zhuge's side and looked towards the walls. They saw that the walls were brightly lit. Then, several sky lanterns lit up. Below them were several shining words, "Surrender and you won't kill Wan Ziang." It was a blatant threat. "Eldest miss, what should we do?" Bai Songling looked at the words with a pale face. She was very uncertain. The Crown Prince and Su Junqing hated Wan Ziang to the bone. It was very possible that they would use him as an example. "Let's wait and see," Yi Zhuge said in a low voice. No matter what, Wan Ziang was an imperial envoy appointed by the emperor. The Crown Prince didn't dare to act rashly. After all, he still had to return to Shangjing. At that time, if Dongfang Ke were to cause trouble and impeach him in front of the emperor, it would be difficult for the Crown Prince to explain. Yi Zhuge's guess was right. The Crown Prince really didn't dare to kill Wan Ziang. "Crown Prince, now is the time to make a decision. If you don't sacrifice the child, you can't trap the wolf," Su Junqing advised. For him, killing Wan Ziang was the best choice. Chapter 195. Wan Ziang is my father's man. If I deal with him rashly, I will anger my father. The Crown Prince disagreed firmly. He knew his father too well. Although he could sentence Wan Ziang to death based on the fact that he had slandered him, his father had no right to kill him. However, only his father could issue the order to kill him. If he did, it would be a seizure of power. "Your Highness, there is no need to worry. The plan for the capital is a success. Even the emperor is no cause for concern." Su Junqing's words were straightforward. The spies in the capital had already started to attack Emperor Xuanwu. There was no need to care about his anger. Let's wait until they succeed. The Crown Prince glanced at Su Junqing. It was not that he did not believe in Su Junqing's ability. It was because his father was a spiritual master, and there were many experts protecting him in the palace. It was unlikely that he would succeed. Therefore, he had to be prepared for both eventualities. Seeing that the Crown Prince would not listen to him, Su Junqing gave up. Anyway, Wan Xiang was doomed. There was no need to fall out with the Crown Prince over such a small matter. He changed his mind. Since you are unwilling to use Wan Xiang as bait, let's use someone else. Who do you want to use as bait? The Crown Prince was confused. Other than Wan Xiang, they did not have anyone else. I heard that Yi Jioga loves her maidservants very much. I wonder if it is true. Su Junqing smiled sinisterly. Previously, he'd used the young maid, Hua Dai, as bait and successfully lured Yi Jioga to the pile of rocks. This time, he would use Yu Dai as bait. In the Flying Frost Pavilion in the Medicine Refinery Complex, Yi Rui clenched her small fists and stood in front of Yu Dai. She glared at Yi Shanshan like a little beast and said, "No, Yu Dai is my maidservant. You cannot take her away. Fourth sister, Yu Dai is eldest sister's maidservant. How did she become yours?" A cold smile flashed across Yi Shanshan's delicate face. She said slowly, "Eldest sister has committed a heinous crime. I advise you not to get involved in this mess. Eldest sister is not a sorcerer. You are the ones who are falsely accusing her," Yi Rui shrieked angrily. This morning, big sister had clearly cleared her name. Suddenly, something happened to Master Dongfang, and the situation was reversed. She didn't understand what had happened, but she clearly saw her father and second sister adding insult to injury. Together with the Crown Prince, they wronged eldest sister. Shut up. Yi Shanshan narrowed her eyes. Suddenly, she raised her hand and slapped Yi Rui. Yi Rui was only 7 years old this year. Although she had outstanding potential, she had not been cultivating for long. She was far from being Yi Shanshan's match. She was immediately sent flying with a slap, crashing into a pile of tables and chairs. Fourth young mistress. Qing Hu and Qing Lu's expressions changed drastically as they hurriedly rushed over. Yu Dai also wanted to check on fourth young mistress's injuries, but she was held down by Yi Shanshan's bodyguards, gagged, and tied up. Fourth sister, please don't blame me. I slapped you for your own good. If father was here, I'm afraid this matter wouldn't be resolved with just a slap. Yi Shanshan pretended to sigh and left with the guards. Yi Rui's hair was disheveled and her small face was swollen like a pig's head. She looked at Yi Shanshan's retreating figure with hatred. Once again, she hated herself for speaking so lowly. If she had eldest sister's ability, she would not have ended up like this. Fourth young mistress, you have done your best. Take care of yourself. Eldest miss will not blame you if she knows. Qing Hu and Qing Lu were sobbing. Yi Rui bit her lip and forced back her tears. She stood up and walked to the table. She picked up the alchemy cultivation book and began to read. There was only one burning thought in her mind: I want to become stronger, stronger and stronger. Outside Medicine Refinery City, in a small forest, Yi Jioga and the others were slowly approaching Medicine Refinery City. Although Yi Jioga was certain that the Crown Prince would not dare to make a move, it was better to be safe than sorry. Just then, there was a change on the noisy wall. The Kongming lanterns fell, and a new row of glowing words appeared. Yu Dai will not be killed if she surrenders. Then, a young girl wearing a jade green dress was hung from the wall. Yu Dai. Yi Jioga's eyes narrowed. He could tell at a glance that the little girl was Yu Dai. Despicable and shameless. How dare you use a young girl to extort a confession? Are you even human? Bai Songling gritted his teeth and clenched his fists in anger. Eldest miss, let's go and save her. Yi Yu said calmly. We must save her. Otherwise, Su Junqing will think that we are cowards. Bai Songling agreed. Yi Jioga did not speak. Her face was as calm as water, but her eyes seemed to be burning with fire. The crown prince did not dare kill Wan Ziang, but he definitely dared to kill Yu Dai. She did not want the innocent Yu Dai to suffer. However, if she surrendered so easily, they would lose the initiative and would not be able to deal with the crown prince and Su Junqing in the future. If she was alone, she would do anything, even if it was a mountain of blades or a sea of flames. However, this matter involved too many things. Sorcerers, Dongfang Yao, Li Zijuan, Wan Ziang. She could not only care about her own feelings. She was in a dilemma. Just as Yi Jioga was in a dilemma, a familiar, seductive voice sounded in her mind. If you want to go, then go. At the city gates of Medicine Refinery City, Yu Dai was tied behind her back and hung from the wall. Her head hung low, and her thin, frail body looked lonely and miserable in the night wind. Yi Jioga, if you surrender obediently, I will spare this little sorcerer's life. If you don't blame us for being rude to her. Su Junqing's cold voice rang out from Medicine Refinery City. Yu Dai struggled to raise her head and shouted, "Eldest miss, don't worry about me." They instructed Hua Dai to frame you, however, before she could finish speaking, she let out a scream. It turned out that one of Su Junqing's guards had lashed her body with a whip. Add some chili water to her. It doesn't matter if you cripple her, as long as she doesn't die, Su Junqing instructed calmly. Yes. The guard's name was Gone Air. He was tall and thin, with triangular eyes and broom-like eyebrows. He looked very sinister, and he loved to extort confessions through torture. This was the first time he had displayed his skills in front of the entire city. He was very excited and immediately prepared a bucket of chili water. He dipped his whip in it and flung it at Yu Dai. The whip, which had been dipped in chili water, broke her skin, and the burning pain rushed straight to her head. It was so painful that it could drive a person crazy. Yu Dai was in so much pain that her whole body convulsed. Her hands, which were tied behind her back, were even worse. She clenched her teeth and swallowed the screams and blood into her stomach. She knew that these evil people wanted to use her to lure the eldest Mississippi. She could not let them have their way. Not bad, little girl. A fierce glint flashed across Gone Air's face, and his entire body contorted with excitement. He switched to a whip with barbs. Not only was this whip more painful, but it could also destroy Yu Dai's clothes. When he thought of Yu Dai's clothes being torn, her naked body covered in blood from his whipping, and the entire city admiring this masterpiece with him, he was so excited that his eyes turned red. Chapter 196. Little girl, enjoy it. Gone Air raised his whip covered in chili water and lashed it towards Yu Dai's chest. Yu Dai closed her eyes and gritted her teeth, waiting for the pain to come. However, the pain didn't come. Instead, the ropes binding her snapped and the wind whistled by her ears. Yu Dai suddenly opened her eyes and saw a sky-blue figure floating towards her, carrying her as they landed safely on the ground. Young mistress. Yu Dai looked at the beautiful face in front of her and thought that she was dreaming. It's fine now. Yi Jioga quickly checked Yu Dai's body and only handed her to Bai Songling after seeing that she only suffered flesh wounds. You really came? Su Junqing felt that Yi Jioga was an idiot. She was only an insignificant maid, yet she personally came to take a risk. She was truly soft-hearted. As for Yu Dai being saved, Su Junqing didn't care. Without Yu Dai, there was still Qing Hu and Qing Lu. Yi Shanshan told him that the two maids were also transferred from Yi Jioga's side. Su Junqing, you're the first young noble of the Su clan, yet you used an innocent 12-year-old girl to lure me out. You even beat her up in front of the entire city. I don't know if this is the Su clan's tradition or the crown prince's order. Yi Jioga stood in front of the city gates. Her eyes were clear and calm, but her expression was even more arrogant. The night breeze blew her long black hair. She looked like a fairy riding the clouds, elegant and transcendent. Her voice wasn't loud, but it echoed throughout the city. At this time, the residents of Alchemy City were restless. No one was sleeping. Although the Crown Prince and Su Juanqing's group had been spreading rumors that Yu Dai was Yi Jioga's accomplice and a heretical cultivator, the beating was too cruel. Especially those with young daughters. They hugged their children tightly and covered their ears, not daring to let them see this cruel side. Regardless of Yi Jioga's reputation, she appeared out of nowhere and saved her maid. This righteousness was admirable. The Crown Prince's heart skipped a beat after hearing Yi Jioga's words. As the Crown Prince, he had to prioritize righteousness. Using such sinister methods was indeed damaging to his reputation. Su Juanqing calmly said, "Yi Jioga, you killed people, skinned them, sucked their blood to cultivate, and committed heinous crimes. You still have the face to say that my methods are cruel? Evil cultivators go against the heavens, and everyone has the right to punish them. I was just acting out of convenience. If you had surrendered obediently, I wouldn't have treated them like this. I can surrender." Yi Jioga abruptly interrupted Su Juanqing's long speech. What? Su Juanqing was stunned, thinking that he had misheard. Young mistress. Bai Songling and Yi Yu exclaimed at the same time. Just now in the dense forest, they couldn't bear to see the little maidservant suffer and decided to come out to save her, but they didn't say that they would surrender. But I have two conditions. Yi Jioga's beautiful face was like the tranquil surface of a lake without any ripples. Tell me about it. Su Juanqing asked with great interest. First, kill the guard who attacked just now. Yi Jioga's cold voice contained an undisguised killing intent. When Gone Air heard this, the blood drained from his face and he immediately fell to his knees. Just as he was about to beg for mercy, he saw Lord Su move his finger and a black light shot into his body, sealing his begging in his throat. Su Juanqing gave a look to the guard beside him. The short and sturdy guard immediately stepped on Gone Air, making him unable to move. What's the second condition? Su Juanqing stopped. Although killing a donkey after it had outlived its usefulness wasn't good, he didn't care about such a small matter anymore. Second, send Wan Xiang out. Yi Jioga raised her voice. Su Juanqing couldn't help but frown. He didn't hastily agree to Yi Jioga's condition, but asked, "Will you surrender alone, or will you bring them along?" "I will exchange myself for Wan Xiang." Yi Jioga said word by word. "Young mistress, you can't." Yi Yu immediately objected. "I'm closest to Xiang, you should let me exchange him." Bai Songling shouted anxiously. "Young mistress, this matter should be considered at length." Luo Tian also disagreed. Feeding oneself to a tiger was the most foolish thing to do. Junichen silently rolled his eyes. "I've made up my mind." Yi Jioga turned around with her back facing Su Juanqing. Her expression was indifferent as she looked at Bai Songling and the others with her bright eyes. Then, she mischievously winked and silently said, "Listen to me." Bai Songling and Yi Yu were stunned and couldn't help but look at each other. The two of them had known Yi Jioga for the longest time and knew that she always had a lot of cunning ideas and powerful methods. She never did anything that she wasn't sure of. Seeing that Bai Songling and Yi Yu had agreed, Luo Tian and Junichen no longer objected. Just as Yi Jioga was exchanging signals with Bai Songling and the others, Su Juanqing was also discussing with the Crown Prince whether to agree to Yi Jioga's condition. "Your Highness, I think we can use the half-dead Wan Xiang to exchange for Yi Jioga." Su Juanqing's attitude was very firm. He was determined to get Yi Jioga. However, the Crown Prince was still a little hesitant and said unhappily, "Yi Jioga said to exchange, then wouldn't we lose face? If they want to exchange, then let them all exchange. Your Highness, Yi Jioga is undoubtedly their leader. If she falls into our hands, will the others be able to escape?" Su Juanqing smiled confidently. That's true. The Crown Prince thought about it and felt that Su Juanqing's words were quite reasonable. Chapter 197. Yi Jiuge looked coldly at the guard who fell in a straight line and finally smashed his head into the mud, creating a flower of blood. He's dead. Bai Songling glanced at him and knew that the guard couldn't be saved. That's good. We don't have to dirty our hands. Yi Jiuge withdrew her gaze indifferently and looked at the gate of the city wall. Soon, the gate opened. Su Junqing led a group of guards and walked out, carrying a military green stretcher. Wan Xiang was lying on the stretcher. From a distance, his face was as pale as a dead man, and his breathing was very low. What did you do to him? Bai Songling roared in shock and anger. Brother Bai, don't be nervous. Brother Wan is fine. He was seriously injured before and has not recovered. He wanted to get out of bed and jump. I was afraid that his injury would worsen, so I fed him some muscle softening powder. Su Junqing said lightly. Yi Jiuge pulled the furious Bai Songling and whispered, I have the antidote for the muscle softening powder in my bag. Give it to him after the exchange. She left all the antidotes behind before she left. I see. Miss, please be careful. Bai Songling nodded vigorously. Miss, if you've discussed it, then come over. Although Su Junqing was smiling, he was actually very nervous. He was also worried that Bai Songling would suddenly snatch him. It would be a joke if he suffered a double loss. Yi Jiuge calmly walked towards Su Junqing. The guards carrying Wan Xiang avoided her and walked toward Bai Songling and the others. They brushed past each other. Wan Xiang was successfully received by Bai Songling and the others. Yi Jiuge also came to Su Juanqing's side. Miss Yi is really righteous. I admire you. Su Junqing looked at Yi Jiuge and smiled, but his eyes began to turn pale red. A hazy power enveloped Yi Jiuge's body. Yi Jiuge felt a little dizzy and her body couldn't help but shake. She knew that Su Junqing was using the mind-bewitching spell on her, so she didn't resist and let him do it. After Su Junqing was sure that Yi Jiuge was under the mind-bewitching spell, he began to ask, where is Lu Yunfei? She was killed by our joint attack. Yi Jiuge replied. Su Juanqing's pupils constricted. Although he had a bad premonition when he heard that Yi Jiuge and the others had left the city to chase after the injured Lu Yunfei. But when he found out that she was really dead, he was still very surprised. After all, Lu Yunfei's strength was extraordinary. She was also very cautious and cunning. No one would have thought that she would die so easily. Forget it, death is death. In any case, as long as he could complete the task given by the old ancestor would not fuss about this. Su Junqing made up his mind and asked, what about her corpse and storage bag? This was the main point. The corpse is buried in a red clay valley 300 miles away from the city. The storage bag is with Yi Jiuge said honestly. The 150 kilometers of red clay valley was the base that they had discussed before. It seemed that Yi Jiuge had not lied. Su Junqing then said to Yi Jiuge, eldest miss, for safety's sake, please hand over all your weapons to me for safekeeping. I don't have any weapons. I gave them to Bai Songling and the others before I came, Yi Jiuge replied in a daze. Su Junqing glanced at Yi Jiuge and saw that she did not have any decorations on her body. Her dress was also quite tight and did not look like it could be used to store things. He believed her. Then, please. Su Junqing led the way in front. Yi Jiuge, to think that you would have such a day. The Crown Prince stood on the stairs nearby and sneered. Yi Jiuge's eyes were a bit dull as if she did not hear the Crown Prince's words. The Crown Prince frowned and was about to explode, but he was stopped by Su Junqing. Your Highness, we still have many things to do. Why don't we take Yi Jiuge to the prison first and lock her up with the spirit forbidden hoop? Very well, the spirit forbidden hoop suits her the best. The Crown Prince nodded in satisfaction. Alchemy City's death prison was equipped with a spirit forbidden hoop. This chain was made from spirit-absorbing stone. After wearing it, it would seal the spiritual force of a martial artist. Because wearing it for a long time would damage the meridians of the body, it was not used when they locked Yi-Jyoga up. In the dark and damp prison, the iron bars of the death prison shone coldly under the dim candlelight. After passing through a corridor filled with a musty smell, they walked to the deepest part of the prison, the only death prison of Alchemy City. Dongfang Yao was not a bloodthirsty person. Alchemy City had been established for a long time, but the death prison had only locked up a few bandits who had committed murder. In the last 5 years, no one had been living here. The corners were covered with moss, and rats and cockroaches were running all over the floor. Not to mention a bed, there was not even a pile of hay. The spirit forbidden hoop was on the gray wall, and the mottled iron chain bound 2 gray bracelets. Eldest miss, please. Su Junqing walked to the wall and smiled while holding the 2 gray bracelets. His eyes flashed red. On the surface, he looked very relaxed, but his whole body was very tense, afraid that Yi-Jyoga would suddenly explode and escape. Behind Yi-Jyoga, a group of intermediate spiritualist guards surrounded her in a circle. Yi-Jyoga acted as if she did not know that the spirit forbidden hoop would harm her. She silently walked forward, and her azure sleeves slid down, revealing her snow-white arms. After Su Junqing put the gray spirit forbidden hoop on Yi-Jyoga's hand, he finally felt relieved and couldn't help but laugh. Yi-Jyoga, you finally fell into my hands. Half of the task was completed, and his heart was indescribably comfortable. Next, he just had to wait for Xiong Yunhu to transport the oriental medicine out. As for Wan Xiang and the others, he was not in a hurry to capture them. Previously, when he helped the bloodthirsty sect collect girls and spiritualists, he could only be sneaky and restrained. Now that Wan Xiang, Bai Songling, and the others were his scapegoats, he just had to be bold in the future. Yi-Jyoga had been very sluggish and did not respond to Su Junqing's laughter. After Su Junqing laughed enough, he proudly left with the guards. The death cell immediately fell into darkness, and one could not see their fingers in front of them. A dirty and fat big rat came out of the corner and curiously circled around Yi-Jyoga. It bared its big teeth and wanted to take a bite of this fragrant prey. The sound of chains suddenly rang out, scaring the big dirty rat into fleeing. Yi-Jyoga, who was a little sluggish, slowly opened her eyes. Her eyes were clear, and she whispered, "Didn't you say you have a way to help me settle it? Why aren't you coming out? Little Jyoga is really impatient. After not seeing this sovereign for so long, you want to do it as soon as you come out?" A pleasant light laughter sounded in the dark death cell, like the night wind blowing through the valley. Stop being so long-winded. This bracelet is super uncomfortable to wear. Hurry up and untie it for me. Yi-Jyoga forcefully pulled it. The chains rattled, and the spirit forbidden hoop flashed with a gray light. It pierced into Yi-Jyoga's wrist and sealed all the spiritual power in her body. TSK, little Jyoga's temper is really getting worse. It seems that when this sovereign is not here, your days are not good. Zi Shang laughed softly. A tall and straight figure gradually appeared in front of Yi-Jyoga. Chapter 198. The originally pitch-black prison cell lit up with starlight, illuminating his entire body. His long purple hair became jet black and soft, tied with a golden crown, and the rest of his hair was scattered behind his head like a crow's feather. His purple vertical pupils became unfathomably deep, occasionally flashing with light that was a proud and peerless sharpness. Wearing a dark purple robe with dark patterns, he stood tall like a jade, outstanding like an immortal. Most importantly, that long black snake tail turned into a pair of long legs. You really turned into a human? Yi-Jyoga suddenly opened her eyes wide. Although she had some guesses when Zi Shang mentioned the form transformation bead. But when she saw this demon snake really turn into a human, she still felt very shocked. Don't you want this sovereign to stay by your side day and night? Zishang's coquettish face had a touch of helplessness and pampering, looking like he was thinking for Yi Jioge. It's not too convenient to be in the original body, it's better to be in the human body. Who wants you to stay by my side day and night? Yi Jioge was crazy to want this guy to accompany her day and night. No. Zishang raised his eyebrows, turned and walked towards the prison door. Then this sovereign is leaving. Come back. Yi Jioge hurriedly stretched out her hand. She was now wearing the spirit forbidden hoop, she couldn't use all her energy. If Zishang didn't save her, she would become the meat on the crown prince and Su Juanqing's chopping board. What are you coming back for? Zishang stood at the door and slightly turned his head, his handsome face full of ridicule, his black eyes full of interest, obviously teasing Yi Jioge. Come back and stay with me, accompany me day and night. Yi Jioge bit the bullet and finished saying this. Goosebumps kept appearing on her body, she was about to be disgusted to death by herself. Since you are so sincere, then this sovereign will be merciful and come back. Zishang returned to Yi Jioge's side, bent over in front of her, smiled and said, to show my sincerity, kiss one first. Yi Jioge's face twitched. Why did she feel that Zishang in human form was even more shameless? Why aren't you saying anything? Zishang raised his eyebrows, suddenly realizing, this sovereign knows, you think one kiss is too little, right? If I really can't do anything, then I'll kiss too. Damn you. Yi Jioge really wanted to vomit blood. To prevent Zishang from acting shamelessly again, Yi Jioge braced himself and kissed Zishang's face. Zishang turned his head around and kissed Yi Jioge. Her soft lips and faint fragrance turned the entire dark cell pink. As Zishang kissed Yi Jioge, he did not forget to grab the 2 rings on Yi Jioge's hands. His palm spat out a pale purple flame, and the ring fell to the ground with a thud. The familiar spirit energy returned to Yi Jioge. She finally woke up from Zishang's intoxication and pushed him away. There's still one more kiss. I still owe you. Zishang placed her slender fingers on her red lips and winked at Yi Jioge. You want me to owe you the moment I come out? I might as well not have come out. Yi Jioge cursed inwardly as he rubbed his somewhat numb wrist. This spirit forbidden hoop was really powerful. She had only worn it for a while and her wrist was already hurting. Although Zishang had taken human form, some of his habits hadn't changed. He hugged Yi Jioge and rested his chin on her forehead. After taking a sniff, he asked with some disgust, how long has it been since you washed your hair? I've been working hard outside every day, where would I have the time to wash my hair? Yi Jioge secretly cursed Zishang for being unreasonable in her heart, but she still had a bright smile on her face as she said, when I rescue Master Dongfang and Li Zijuan, I'll immediately go wash my hair and make myself smell good, okay? That's more like it. Zishang was quite satisfied with Yi Jioge's attitude. You see, I'm just one person and I don't have any weapons on me. If I walk out like this, I'm afraid I'll be caught immediately. I wonder if the king has any tricks. Yi Jioge said with a flattering smile. She came in with all her might and could only count on Zishang. Simple. Zishang stretched out his hand and drew a concealment talisman on Yi Jioge's forehead and said, just walk out like this. Those guards won't be able to see you. You have the time it takes for an incense to burn. The time it takes for an incense to burn is enough. Yi Jioge's eyes lit up as she realized that Zishang had woken up just in time. However, this sovereign has to remind you that this sovereign's demonic power has been used to devour the transformation fruit. Right now, the amount of demonic power that this sovereign can use every day is limited. Just now, when I helped you remove the spirit forbidden hoop and drew this concealment talisman, I have consumed a lot of it. Now, I only have 1/3 of it left. Zishang said. What do you mean? Yi Jioge suddenly felt that something was wrong. It means that when we fight, you go first. If you can't beat this sovereign, then I'll take you and escape. Zishang's smile was very charming, like a blooming epiphyllum in the night, with a light fragrance. It was simply beautiful. But Yi Jioga only wanted to beat him up. Or, if you want to escape now, that's fine. Zi Shang expressed that he was a very democratic person. Let's fight first. Yi Jioga spent a lot of effort to sneak in. It was not her style to escape without even seeing the person. Fine. Zi Shang did not care. Wait. Yi Jioga bent down, lifted the hem of her skirt, and muttered, "Fortunately, I already knew that you are unreliable." A thin silver rope was tied around Yi Jioga's calf. It was the shrunken thunder snake illusionary whip. After she surrendered, she showed weakness everywhere, and even willingly let Su Junqing confuse her, all in order to hide this weapon. Yi Jioga untied the thunder snake illusionary whip and wrapped it around her waist again. Then, she asked Zi Shang, "Can I attack while in the concealment state?" "Yes, but the moment you attack, the concealment state will automatically be removed," Zi Shang said. "That's good." Yi Jioga slightly heaved a sigh of relief. With this opportunity to sneak attack, her chances of winning were higher. "You go in front. This sovereign will protect you from behind." After Zi Shang finished speaking, he also concealed his figure. Yi Jioga quietly left the death prison. Along the way, the prison guards turned a blind eye to her. The moment she came out of the death prison, she discovered that there were many hidden guards lying in ambush. There were traps everywhere, and poison was everywhere. Needless to say, they were to prevent Bai Songling and the others from breaking into the prison to rescue her. Yi Jioga did not alarm the hidden guards. Instead, she tiptoed towards the medicine refinement pavilion. The guards along the way were very strict. When she arrived near the medicine refinement pavilion, there was a guard every 10 steps. If not for Zi Shang's concealment talisman, it would have been extremely difficult for her to get close to this place. Yi Jioga avoided the guards and quietly entered Dongfang Yao's room. The room was filled with the strong smell of medicine. Dongfang Yao was lying on the bed. His old face was dark, and his breathing was weak. Su Junqing and Xiong Yunhu stood by Dongfang Yao's bed and talked. Yi Jioga hid in the dark and couldn't help but frown. The concealment talisman only lasted for the time it takes for a joss stick to burn. If the two of them kept talking, it would be troublesome. Chapter 199. Although Yi Jioga had never fought with Xiong Yunhu, she knew from Lu Yunfei's words that he was a tough one. She had no confidence in a one-on-one fight, and with Su Junqing added, she would definitely lose. She had to think of a way to lure Su Junqing away. At this moment, Zi Shang's finger suddenly landed on Yi Jioga's back. She didn't know what he was drawing, but it was ticklish. Yi Jioga's face darkened. At this time, he was still trying to take advantage of her. Could he please look at the location? Zi Shang seemed to have guessed Yi Jioga's thoughts, and knocked her head before starting to draw again. After Yi Jioga calmed down, she realized that Zi Shang was drawing the word wait. All right. Since Zi Shang wants to wait, then let's wait. Hopefully they can finish their conversation quickly. Su Junqing didn't know that Yi Jioga was secretly peeping. He was reporting the news of Yi Jioga to Xiong Yunhu. Yi Jioga has already put on the spirit forbidden hoop and is locked in the death prison. I have set up many traps in the surroundings. If Bai Songling and the rest rush over to save them, I guarantee that they won't be able to escape. I don't care what happens to Bai Songling and Wan Xiang, but those two blood-clothed Miao people and Yi Jioga must be left to me. Xiong Yunhu said coldly. Ever since Elder Ancestor devoured the blood-clothed Miao people's tribe leader, he realized that he was tricked by that tribe leader, and many of his bloodline's secrets were leaked. Elder Ancestor had sent a few people to search for the remaining members of the blood-clothed Miao people, but there were no results. If he could bring these two people back to Elder Ancestor, it would be a great merit. But Lu Yunfei and Old Jiang are both dead. Can you bring so many people alone? Su Junqing frowned, and said disapprovingly, don't forget, our mission is to bring Dongfang Yao back to Elder Ancestor as a primer. He spent a lot of effort to rope in Zhangpeng, and only then did he succeed in poisoning Dongfang Yao. This poison was made by Elder Ancestor using his own blood essence and Snow Spider King poison. There was only one portion in this world, there wouldn't be any more. You don't need to worry about this, just mind your own business. Xiong Yunhu grabbed Su Juanqing's shirt and lifted him up fiercely. He even dared to snatch Lu Yunfei's things, let alone Su Junqing, an outer disciple. If not for the fact that this person was still useful, just based on what he had said just now, he would have died without a doubt. Senior brother, please calm down. Junior brother was wrong. Su Junqing felt Xiong Yunhu's ferocious gaze and shivered in fear. Previously, he thought that Lu Yunfei was the one in charge of the overall situation. It was only later that he found out that the real main force was this Xiong Yunhu. Xiong Yunhu was the eldest disciple of Forefather Bloodthirsty. He had received all the teachings of the Forefather. He was a cruel and ruthless person, and he would often kill people and bleed them to cultivate. He was a terrifying person in Bloodthirsty sect. Humph. Xiong Yunhu finally let go of Su Junqing. Su Junqing didn't even dare to tidy up his clothes. He immediately smiled apologetically and said, "Senior brother, junior brother was also worried that something would go wrong. That's why he said the wrong thing. I hope senior brother can be magnanimous and not lower himself to junior brother's level. Alright, less nonsense. I'll give you an hour to find Lu Yunfei's body. Otherwise, don't blame me for falling out." Xiong Yunhu grinned. His snow-white teeth were even scarier than a shark's. Lu Yunfei was one of the top 10 experts in Bloodthirsty sect. Her body was also an excellent material for blood refinement. If he could absorb Lu Yunfei's body, his cultivation would definitely increase by another level. Unfortunately, he still had to look after Dongfang Yao, an important target. Otherwise, he would go himself. Yes, junior brother will go now. Su Junqing nodded repeatedly. He understood Xiong Yunhu's meaning very well. If he couldn't bring Lu Yunfei's body back to Xiong Yunhu, he would kill himself. Scram! Xiong Yunhu impatiently waved his hand and sat cross-legged on the floor. He took out a blood bottle from his storage bag and drank a few mouthfuls. Then, he greedily looked at the unconscious Dongfang Yao. If Dongfang Yao wasn't poisoned and only the Forefather had the antidote, he really wanted to secretly drink a few mouthfuls. After all, with Dongfang Yao's cultivation, every mouthful of blood was essence. Su Junqing obediently left the room. He looked back at Xiong Yunhu's back with eyes full of hatred. If it weren't for the fact that he was too weak right now, he would definitely kill Xiong Yunhu. Once he gets the cultivation technique bestowed by the Forefather, he will definitely trample on these people. Yi Jiuge had been quietly lying by the side. After Su Junqing left, she took out the lightning snake illusionary whip from her waist and dripped blood onto the snake's mouth. She silently said in her heart, "Demonic power, unseal." After sucking the blood, the lightning snake illusionary whip slowly opened its blood-red eyes. Compared to the previous berserk attacks, the silent lightning snake illusionary whip was much more dangerous. It was silent and undetectable, like a poisonous snake hiding in the grass, ready to deal a fatal blow at any time. Yi Jiuge didn't hastily attack. She only had one chance. She had to find the right time and hit the target. Although Xiong Yunhu was cultivating, he still paid a bit of attention to the situation outside, ready to deal with any sudden incidents. Just as he was about to end his cultivation, he relaxed a little. At this moment, his heart suddenly twitched, startling him so much that he immediately opened his eyes. Every time he felt this kind of palpitation, he would encounter danger. The stronger the palpitation, the heavier the danger. In his early years, when he hadn't finished cultivating the Blood Sea technique, he often had this feeling. But ever since he killed the obstacle in front of him and became the eldest disciple of the bloodthirsty ancestor, he didn't have palpitation anymore. Xiong Yunhu didn't dare to underestimate his intuition for danger, so he immediately raised his guard. Suddenly, a wave of extremely terrifying spirit energy exploded from behind him, accompanied by a faint demonic aura. It covered the sky and drowned him. Xiong Yunhu immediately activated the red protective light and dashed to the side. But the attack was too fast and too close. He didn't have a chance to dodge. The red protective light just rose up and was smashed. Xiong Yunhu felt like a sharp blade had stabbed into his back. The huge force shook his internal organs, causing his blood energy to surge. His body flew up involuntarily, creating a big hole in the wall. After Yi Jioga attacked, the hidden aura was automatically removed. Although that attack had used up most of her spirit energy, she still didn't dare to relax. The lightning snake illusionary whip rose again, turning into a purple lightning snake that lashed at Xiong Yunhu. Boom! This time, it hit a thick cloud of blood mist. Xiong Yunhu stood up from the wall in a sorry state. His shirt was destroyed by the attack just now, revealing his body covered in blood. Especially his back, there was a huge scorched black scar. It was so deep that bones could be seen, and it was extremely hideous. It covered more than half of his back, and even his internal organs could be vaguely seen. Yi Jioga, why is it you? Aren't you wearing the spirit forbidden hoop? Xiong Yunhu never thought that Yi Jioga would sneak attack him from behind. Yi Jioga saw that Xiong Yunhu had already activated his defense, so it was impossible for him to sneak attack again. She said to provoke him, "You can't even guess why I'm here. You deserve to be killed." Chapter 200. It's Su Junqing, right? That bastard dared to trick me. Xiong Yunhu's face twisted. Now that Dongfang Yao had fallen and Lu Yunfei was dead, Su Junqing only needed to kill him to take all the credit. If he knew this would happen, he would have killed that bastard first. Yi Jioga raised her eyebrows. She didn't expect Xiong Yunhu to think of Su Junqing, but it was better if they fought each other. Thus, she laughed mockingly and continued acting. "Since you already know the truth, don't think of going back alive. You think you can kill me with this?" Xiong Yunhu roared fiercely. "I've already destroyed your organs. You're just an arrow at the end of its flight. Just obediently accept your death and I'll leave your corpse intact." Yi Jioga's attitude was arrogant, but she was actually terrified. The lightning snake illusionary whip's attack just now was no joke. If it was someone else, they would have been blasted into pieces. She didn't expect Xiong Yunhu to still be able to talk to her so energetically. "I want to see who dies first." Xiong Yunhu sneered and took out a blood pearl from his storage bag and swallowed it. Yi Jioga felt something was wrong and couldn't help but take a few steps back. After Xiong Yunhu ate the blood pearl, a strange red light spread out from his body. The wounds on his body and the hideous wound on his back immediately recovered. His aura exploded and blood mist shrouded his body. The smell of blood was so thick that it made people want to vomit. He was like a monster that crawled out of a pool of blood. "You're not his match. Let's go." Zishang grabbed Yi Jioga's hand and prepared to escape. "Wait." Yi Jioga looked at Xiong Yunhu, who was covered in blood, and had an idea. She raised her lightning snake illusionary whip and attacked Xiong Yunhu again. The purple lightning snake landed on Xiong Yunhu's head. He revealed a terrifying smile and his bloody hands pinched the purple lightning snake like he was pinching a bug. He pulled hard and the purple lightning dissipated. Yi Jioga's face instantly paled. This Xiong Yunhu was too terrifying. After using the blood pearl, he had already reached the realm of a spirit master. "Go die." After Xiong Yunhu crushed Yi Jioga's purple lightning snake, he grinned fiendishly and stretched out his hand. The bloody mist condensed into two bloody hands that covered her head. Yi Jioga wanted to escape, but he discovered that Xiong Yunhu's blood mist had locked onto him, and he was unable to move. At the critical moment, Zishang grabbed Yi Jioga's waist and quickly retreated. They broke through the wall and left the room. Xiong Yunhu was stunned. He never expected that someone would rescue Yi Jioga right under his nose. He was already on the verge of exploding, and now he was even more enraged. With a roar, he gave chase. Yi Jioga jumped onto the highest floor of the alchemy pavilion and shouted with all his might, "The evil cultivator Xiong Yunhu is plotting to kill Master Dongfang, quickly protect him." It was midnight, and the whole city was under martial law. Everything was quiet. Yi Jioga's voice exploded like a clap of thunder, resounding through the clouds. Not only was the entire alchemy pavilion and alchemy pavilion alarmed, even the commoners in the city couldn't help but come out to see what was going on. After Yi Shanshan was awakened by Yi Jioga's voice, she immediately put on her clothes and rushed to Yi Yuxuan's side. She asked in bewilderment, "Father, didn't you say that big sister was locked in the dungeon with the spirit forbidden hoop? How did she escape? Who knows how she escaped? Go find the crown prince, I'll go take a look." Yi Yuxuan's expression was extremely ugly. He had a premonition that something bad must have happened. "Father, you must be careful," Yi Shanshan worriedly warned. "Go quickly." After Yi Yuxuan finished speaking, he swung his sleeves and left. Yi Shanshan immediately went to the Rising Heaven Pavilion to find the Crown Prince. Just as she entered the courtyard, she heard his angry voice, "Where did Su Junqing go?" "Your Highness, this subordinate brought people to search the entire alchemy pavilion, but we couldn't find young Master Su. The guards also said that they didn't see him leave." The guard leader reported in fear and trepidation. Continue searching for him for me." The Crown Prince's face was ashen. He wanted nothing more than to tear Su Junqing's corpse into 1,000 pieces. Yi Shanshan leaned against the door and advised from afar, "Your Highness, please calm down. Don't get angry and harm your body. Speak, did you release Yi Jioga?" The Crown Prince's nostrils spewed hot air as he uncontrollably grabbed Yi Shanshan and roared, "Your Highness, our Yi mansion has already severed all ties with Yi Jioga. How could we release her? My father has already gone to the alchemy pavilion to capture her. Before he left, he specifically told me to find your Highness for help." Yi Shanshan was so scared that her entire body was trembling as she quickly explained. The Crown Prince's chest violently heaved a few times. Finally, he suppressed his anger and roared, "Someone, go to the alchemy pavilion." Outside the alchemy pavilion, Yi Yuxuan and Gong Honglei bumped into each other. "Grandmaster Yi, this Yi Jioga couldn't have been released by you, right?" Gong Honglei said half jokingly and half seriously. He didn't know that Yi Yuxuan and Yi Jioga's relationship was bad, so he used a normal father-daughter relationship to measure it. He felt that Yi Yuxuan couldn't just watch his own daughter go to jail. "If I released her, then I'll be struck by lightning and die a horrible death," Yi Jioga replied in a bad mood. Gong Honglei was shocked. He didn't expect Yi Yuxuan to swear such a deadly oath. He immediately felt a bit awkward and quickly changed the topic. "Forget it, we'll know who released her once we catch her." "That's right." Yi Yuxuan also wanted to know who else in the alchemy pavilion would dare to help Yi Jioga. The two of them walked side by side towards the alchemy pavilion. Just as they arrived at the door, they heard the panicked shouts of the guards inside. "Heavens, what is that? Idiot, can't you tell? Of course it's an evil cultivator. But why would this evil cultivator jump out of Grandmaster Dongfang's room and fight with Yi Jioga?" Gong Honglei frowned, kicked the door open, and rushed in. In the open space in front of the alchemy pavilion, he saw a tall blood man with evil aura chasing after Yi Jioga. Yi Jioga's body seemed to be pulled by someone, swaying left and right in a mess, but he was always able to escape the blood man's pursuit. "What are you looking at? Are your dog eyes blind? Can't you tell who the evil cultivator is?" Yi Jioga dodged while pointing at the guards and scolding, "Grandmaster Dongfang really raised you for nothing. It's not enough that you let a wolf into the house, you see the real culprit and you don't dare to catch him. When Grandmaster wakes up one day, he'll definitely twist all your heads off and kick them around like balls. The guards were all dumbfounded. Yi Jiuge was the target that the Crown Prince and Zhang Peng had personally ordered to capture. If they helped her, wouldn't that be a rebellion? But that blood man was really too strange. What are you still standing there for? Capture that blood man and Yi Jiuge for me. Gong Honglei shouted. Only then did the guards come back to their senses. They raised their weapons and rushed forward. However, they all rushed towards Yi Jiuge. That blood man was too scary. He could shatter a large rock with one palm. Going against him was simply courting death. Yi Jiuge was so angry that he almost vomited blood. These guards were simply stirring shit. No, the real shit stirrer was Gong Honglei. You're tuning into the A Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.